What's going on, everybody? Round 2 of Conspiracy Theory Night. We only went for about an hour, a little over an hour, and honestly, I cut that short because I had a buddy here that I had to take home. So now, we have a little bit more time. We can chill. It's the middle of the weekend, so hey, if you guys want to hang out and talk about some crazy stuff, this is the place to be. We're going au natural tonight. No product in my hair or anything like that. I may actually put on a hat at some point just because I like to wear a hat. Michael J, what's going on, fam? So if you guys want to see some tomfoolery and just me kind of fucking around, you can go check out the Twitch channel. I'm on there under Dead Cynic 2988. I just finished up a gaming sesh with my little brother, and we were on there for just about like 4 hours. And so I don't always play with people. Honestly, most of the time I play solo, but whenever I can, it's always nice to have somebody to play with. And my little brother is one of my best gaming partners. It's my actual little brother, so we've been playing video games together for a really long time. We know each other's play styles very well, and he's just, anytime that I play a game online that's like multiplayer of some sort, I always try and talk him into getting that game because he's the best squad mate that I could ever ask for. And also, congratulations and much love to my buddy Norris Lee. Him and his wife JoJo just had their second little one, which is a little boy. He was born last night, just before midnight, around 11:49. He's healthy. He's happy. Everybody's doing good. So much love to my brother Norris. Can't wait to meet everybody. I still haven't even met his first little one, so we definitely need to make that happen. But yeah, he's a really, really good friend of mine. I've been friends with him over a decade now, so he's a good guy. Couldn't have happened to a better dude. They were planning it, and they've been really looking forward to it. And seeing as how he had the little girl, now he's got one of each. I bet he's pretty happy, especially because he's very active. And even if he would have had another girl, it would have been the same case. But I think that he's going to be able to bond just a little bit more with the boy over that kind of stuff because he's a big sports guy. So I think that they're really going to have fun together doing, like softball or football or whatever that little guy wants to play. His dad's going to support him 110%. And he's going to do that with the little girl too. So it's not going to make a difference. I just think he's very, very happy that he's got a little boy. And again, he's got one of each. Now he's got a little boy and a little girl. So perfect little family. We don't have any whiskey for tonight, guys, so we're just going to be taking dabs. I'm going to go ahead and pack up a nice fat dab of, I think it's called Heat Gun. Yeah. And we got this last night out in Fresno. I drove my buddy out to a sesh. It was actually kind of funny. I've been doing work as a Sitka representative for about 6 months now. We started in October. And when I first got brought on, before they even sent me out to my first demo, I was going out to underground sessions and like promoting. I may not have been selling anything, but I was like, yo, check us out. What's up? Fucking get the word out there. So the guy that was chilling next to me last night, his name on Instagram is Dabbing Good Shit. He asked me if I could take him out to the sesh because he'd never been to one. He wanted to check it out. He wanted to see what was all going on. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. So I take him out, and we get out there, and we're in line. And he looks at me, or rather, somebody else is in line, and they're talking about an ID. And he looks at me, and he's like, oh, bro, do I need an ID? And I was like, yeah, you need a valid ID. He's like, fuck, I don't have one. Or I didn't bring it with me. It's like, if you have a valid ID and you leave your house, you should probably have it on you. And you know what? Before we get any further, let's go ahead and throw my tenants out there because people get upset about the shit that I say. So I'm not here to be politically correct. I'm not here to be everybody's friend. I'm not going to say things that everyone agrees with, and I ain't no fucking cartoon character. So after he realizes that he needs an ID, I'm like, well, fuck. I really don't want to drive out here for nothing. And it'd be like, I could also just make him stay outside and be like, well, if you give me a couple bucks, I can just go in, grab something for you, and come right out. But I didn't really want to do that. So thankfully, what's going on, Brother Mario?
What up, buddy?
I was able to go to the front where the guy that was actually holding the sesh was out there, and he recognized me. So it was cool because I had a couple of half grams in my pocket, and I was like, bro, I don't know if you remember me or not. And he was like, yeah, you're the hash guy. So I reach in my pocket and I give him a half gram. I was like, yo, I totally forgot when this started. I totally lied to him. I was like, I have a buddy in there that I'm supposed to help with the table. Do you mind if I just go in, ahead of the line? He's like, oh, fuck, go ahead, bro. And then he kind of went and did his thing. So I went back in the line and I got my buddy and I was like, look, man, keep your head down, don't make fucking eye contact, and just stay next to me and let's walk in. So he stayed next to me, we got him in, and he got his meds for the night. And what's funny is that I went in to say hello to a couple of my friends that have tables at the Sesh, and as I'm walking in, I saw the DJ who I had had a conversation with one of the last times I'd been at the Sesh, and I told him I was going to give him a sample. So I reach in my pocket, I give him a sample. I'm talking to my buddy over at his table, and all of a sudden over the speakers I hear, hey, everybody go check out that Sitka table. We got some dope-ass hash in the house. Much love to fucking Sitka. And I start laughing because I don't have a table. Like, I'm just, the only thing in there that says Sitka is my fucking sweatshirt. So that was a good time. But yeah, Brother Mario, Mrs. Clean Pump, welcome.
You're like, come to my mobile table.
Right? We got it happening over here.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
Ooh,
Okay,
hello.
Conspiracy theory that I was thinking about that I run into a lot as far as Instagram, and I may have sent you some stuff about it, brother, and it's kind of it'll be a weird term. Not everybody may understand it, but petrified giants. Not even necessarily that it's a conspiracy theory, but I think it's something really neat that people should at least like type into their Google search bar one time and just kind of check out the different pictures that show up, because there's a lot of crazy, you could call them rock formations that exist out in the world that look very peculiar. And it would be one thing if there was just like one in this one part of the world, but literally they're all over the world. People take tons of pictures and videos of being able to observe them. So it's just kind of crazy, and that's definitely one I would throw out there is petrified giants. And another one, brother, that I was thinking of that is pretty mainstream: crop circles.
Ooh, crop circles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
A little bit of the
that's
crop
a
circle.
yeah.
I'm going to heat up my nail because I got a dab right here, but I would really like for you guys. So I want you guys to start it off. So I'm going to ask, what do you guys think of crop circles? And then I'm going to give my 2 cents. We'll hit up the chat, see if they want to add to it. And then, yeah, we'll keep going. So I
All right. Well,
to you, my friend, what do you think crop circles are?
well, I think some are real, and then there's some that are, some people go out and craftily make, So I think it's a mixture of the two. That's my take on it. But there obviously there's stuff that's been further back than crop circles and
Yeah.
shit. Like there's all kinds of
Side of the
geographic
mountain.
shit across the world that they're like, I don't know why they did it like this, and how they knew how it was gonna look from fucking like 15,000 feet in the air when it looks like this is gonna look like a bird. Like
Yeah.
there's all kinds of crazy shit that's out there. That's why I'm like, crop circles are like the lead. Like I think it's come around just because it happened in America, right? But like I said, I think it's a mixture of like
Yeah.
real and not real.
You don't think it's aliens leaving like, markings of where they've been and something that it says? I think some of them are, and then I think some of them are made.
Yeah, sometimes, like, I think sometimes people are like, whatever, it'll bring some good publicity to the farm or whatever, help
Yeah.
us out. And I can't blame them for that, but at the same time, I'm sure there's other shits. I mean, there's
Yeah,
plenty of
there's.
people you can talk to now that are like, yeah, I've seen an alien.
And like,
So many people have come out and started talking about that shit. That's what's so crazy to me.
just like the
So,
crop
brother, I
circles and
agree
the
with you that I think that there
extraterrestrials.
are the I shouldn't even say naturally occurring, but the mysteriously occurring ones that you could call authentic, and then man-made ones that are a little bit different. And what I would say about that is, I think there's actually an agenda behind that. I think the reason why there are like why there's sort of a focus and people know about the man-made ones is to almost spread disinformation. Like because it's possible to make man-made crop circles, that means all crop circles are man-made. I kind of feel like
Yeah,
that's sort of the idea behind that. And that for the most part, the what like there's a lot that we can't understand. It's like what the fuck is this design? And even to your point earlier, there's a lot of stuff that from ground level looks like a fucking hill, and you got to go up in a fucking helicopter to figure out that it looks like a man or a bird or
yeah,
some crazy
Yep.
shit. So I think that there's almost like a level of disinformation that gets thrown out there so that we follow incorrect leads.
Yep. There's
yeah.
etchings on
That's
sides
the,
of mountains and stuff.
that's the conspiracy theorist in me, though.
Oh yeah, that's where everything goes to, right? Where it's like, well, how do you know that that's real?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do you know that you haven't been told that that's what you should think? I mean, yeah, man. Yeah,
It's just like Stonehenge, like the mysteries of the world. Do
yeah.
you think they're like um, markings of places where the aliens have been, and like they put them there? Like, okay, this is
And
this
again, we're talking
place.
about the
You
human
know?
being like way before. Like
Yeah.
we
How
always
did
we
they?
always claim that we're smarter because we figured out how to like monetize our lives. I guess who fucking knows? Like we think we're smarter than the dudes who used to just live amongst Mother Earth. Like just yeah, they had some twisted shit back in the day, man. Like there was I'm surprised the human race has lasted as long as it's lasted.
Man, we
Yeah,
find some
crop
crazy
circles are
ways
freaking crazy.
to inflict harm on each other. That's for sure. But no, I thought about that a lot, brother. It's crazy to think that there are architectural things that we can't replicate from back in the day, but we want to say that as a species and whatnot, we're actually improving. And those guys back then, they were the cavemen. They were just barely figuring shit out. I think on a level, there's a lot of untruth to those kinds of things. And if we did our
Yeah,
own individual research, we'd find that ancient cultures were actually quite civilized and advanced in their own ways.
yeah. Yeah, that's what's good because we've definitely not bent the curve in an upwards direction when it comes to fucking mental capacity and just overall mental fortitude. I want to say, but yeah, it's yeah, that's it. Let's see, what does it say? Nazca lines. So this is
Yes.
like one of those. This was like old ass, old ass. Guess you would crop circle, But this was thousands of years ago, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I mean,
saying. How did
what
they?
the shit?
Thousands of years ago, it's like hieroglyphics on freaking land, so huge that how in the heck did this happen?
Or like
Hmm.
another example of
Crazy.
ancient technology that holds up today, which I believe we've talked about or we mentioned on a previous stream one night. I don't think it was last night, but we've mentioned it before. There is an ancient computer called an astrolabe that people have been using for thousands and thousands of years to navigate through waters and to document the stars. And the crazy thing about that is it's been accurate this entire like if we were to use one today, we'd still be able to use that same design and like get into a ship and successfully go somewhere. So it's kind of crazy that we have stuff like that and we consider the past more of like a simpler time.
Bro, they figured out the fucking compass. What the fuck? What
Ow.
the fuck?
How's it gonna astrological?
No, they're
Yeah.
stupid. Like, bro, they
Astrological.
figured out how to always find true north.
Yeah. The stars and stuff.
Smart
What the
folks.
heck?
That's not,
That's all I gotta say. Some smart folks.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a
They
like,
didn't have all this technology back then.
yeah, they're like even electricity. Just being one of the first guys to get it, to understand it, try to harness it, try to produce power with it, or try to produce light with it. Like, it's a trip, man.
Okay, so as far as Nikola Tesla goes, and it's unrelated in factual stuff, but have you guys ever seen the movie The Prestige?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Now,
she probably won't remember because it's she's not good at remembering movies right away. She's like, did we watch it? Like, yeah, 3 times. She's like, I don't remember him.
But you name something that happened, and then maybe it'll jog my memory. Yeah. Who's in it? Like.
it's crazy. So that
Hugh
had
Jackman,
Okay.
and Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
Are they
yeah.
not musicians? What is it?
Magicians.
Magicians.
Yep.
Okay. I think I remember something. Yeah.
And so Christian Bale, he's a very not only is he a magician, but he's very intelligent and he has a certain way of thinking about stuff. So he actually goes to Nikola Tesla and has him build him a machine that does something. And that something is basically like the core around his magic routine. And Hugh Jackman is another magician who's like his rival, he basically becomes obsessed with Christian Bale and he tries to figure out what the fuck he's doing that makes him so successful. And he ends up visiting Tesla and talking to him about the machine that gets made, and just some crazy shit happens. So I don't want to throw any spoilers out there, but it's an old ass movie too. So if you've never seen this movie, you should go fucking watch it. It's a good movie, and there's a lot of twists and turns. And man, it's crazy, and it's really
It's a good movie.
We got my lady in the chat. What's going on, babe?
Marina.
Marina.
More than likely, you are getting ready for work. So I hope that you have that work tonight. Much
Yay, but boo.
Yay, but boo. But what's up?
And we're also happy because her mom got diagnosed with COVID a while back, and she had to go to the hospital. She actually ended up in like a care facility for a little bit, and she came home this week, I want to say. So
nice.
Back home, that's got to be awesome. And yeah, sucks to be in the hospital. So much love to Mama Marina. And yeah, hope you have a good night at work, babe.
Yay.
Yay.
That's exciting news. It's always good news when someone can go home.
Come home
and right before you guys got on, brother, I was actually saying a congratulations because there's more good news. Last night at 11:49, one of my best friends had his second little one. He had a healthy little boy, and I don't think they've named him yet because I didn't get that information. So I think they're still flipping the coin or having the debate on that one. But yeah, so happy, healthy little boy, and that's their second one. They got a little girl and a little boy now.
Hell yeah, that's what's up, man. That is fucking what's up. That's always fucking good news when someone can have a child, nothing goes wrong, and they're just trying to figure out the name now.
Yes, sir. And he's been my friend for over 10 years now, so he's a really good dude. Marina says yesterday she came home. Nice. So she got home at the weekend.
Yay.
Yeah, fuck hospital stays and all that kind of stuff, and
being
sick in general. That's no fun.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's not.
no.
I
It's
wouldn't
shit
go
all.
there. I just don't like the smell of them.
Just being inside hospitals, you're just
It's
like,
scary for
yeah,
me.
it's always stressful.
If it's it's,
Hearing everybody's
it is
little,
stressful. Oh my gosh, it is
yeah,
stressful.
just the noises of a
Depends on it.
hospital are stressful enough. I don't know how
Yeah.
these,
Hospital's hard.
dude, yeah,
Yeah.
super stressful job right there.
Ooh, okay, guys. So what about cryptids like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness monster? What do you guys think about that? Because it's almost like
Dude,
Okay.
I don't know, just
Bigfoot is like something.
mythological animals, I guess. Do you guys believe in mythological animals? Because we could consider those guys those.
All I know is we have not explored enough of the
Right.
world to be like,
Yep.
bah,
We haven't even explored the ocean because
yeah,
and the sky.
like
So
the Loch Ness monster. I'm sure I would believe
story.
more if I could see some more hard evidence, but like Bigfoot, I don't know, man. I just think there's some mountain people. That's what I think.
you think the Bigfoot
I just think there's like a set of people who knows how to stay the fuck away from normal civilization, and it's like, oh,
maybe they have that disease where they're really hairy and then they're really tall and
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What
I
about the ones with that military?
Well, I
remember
think
when
what
they
Brother
put the
Mario
big
could be
giant
saying is that
person?
maybe that's a disguise or even like an outfit that they use to keep people away. And what's funny about that is M. Night Shyamalan made a whole movie about it called The Village,
yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
where
Remember
they're
we watched the Village? She
No,
doesn't
we watched the
remember.
Village thing.
Shit,
Is it the one with
we
the A?
definitely watched
Wait,
the
is it the
Village
one with
because
the
you
A
tripped
on
out
the
at the very end about
me?
yeah,
I did.
yeah. It's a crazy. You need to rewatch it, but it's good. Really.
Okay.
it's a fucking trip, and you definitely like you want to go into it with an open mind, because if you look at it as like a horror movie you might be disappointed. Look at it like a psychological thriller, and I think that'll probably set you up a little bit better for
Yeah.
what you're going to see. But it's a pretty gnarly concept of people that just want to get away from the rest of the world, and they want what they have and they don't want anything else, and they don't want anybody to find it, they don't want to leave, they don't want anybody else to leave, and just kind of what happens about all that situation. But it's a trippy movie.
Oh fuck yeah, it's trippy. Imagine you. Oh man, there's so much of that shit that's just like.
I
Yeah.
remember seeing a trailer, and is that the one with the
I remember the
door
first time I
A
saw it when I was like,
Yeah.
this M. Night Shyamalan
Yeah,
motherfucker.
Shyamalan, yeah.
He's got his like patented little twist in there that you're like, that would be a mind fuck if you found that out. And especially like the main character, the way she finds out because she's blind, and that's all I can say. Like that's what makes the whole fucking movie.
Babe,
like
I would remember this.
just so like this bitch don't even know. She don't even know what she looks like. Like this fucker's like, what is she doing out here? And she's just like, I'm scared of a fucking evil thing that I don't know even like whether it exists or not. It's real. Maybe it is real. Like it's hilarious. It's a really good thriller, dude. It's a good thriller. We'll watch it again. You'll remember it.
Is it Joaquin Phoenix?
No.
No.
No. It's.
I
Or
think
maybe
he was
That
a
was
young
nice.
guy in the movie. He was like,
oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was one of his like better roles, I want to say.
I have to not be stoned.
Yeah, I know you won't be able to fucking remember that shit.
No.
But no,
I think a lot of movies, because you showed me a lot of movies I never watched.
what was that other we were just talking about? The crop circles one with Mel
Signs.
Gibson, Signs, right?
Signs.
That one has aliens, right?
Yeah, another good M. Night Shyamalan film.
Oh, really? Are
Yeah.
you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But it's
I remember foil
I like
hats,
this.
maybe. I don't. Okay. I remember Mel Gibson. They're hiding in a house, and maybe.
And I think that had Joaquin Phoenix in it too. He was like,
Yeah, that was it. Joaquin Phoenix was in
brother
that.
or some shit. That was a
Yeah.
That was a good
That
one.
was another good one. That was another good one. Though, dude, the main one I wanted to touch on tonight was that fucking giant, that like fucking gray, like orange haired, 11 fingered, 11
The
toed
one with
fucking.
the military that I was talking
Yeah,
about.
dude. So like, why is it? This is why I
Uh-oh,
always.
look, babe.
Yeah, that one.
Long
Long walkers.
walkers.
So the crazy
Oh,
thing is,
whoa.
brother, that's actually an exact description of some of the hostile tribes that the ancient Israelites used to fight against. They were specifically, as far as like their hands and feet, they had 6 fingers and 6 toes, and they had double rows of teeth, and they usually had bright red hair. And it's they varied in size because I mean you had some that were like 9, 10 feet tall, and then you had some that were as tall as like 30 to 40 feet, and that's like the stuff that I've read about. Then if we talk about petrified giants, like the ones that you see, if you're looking at a mountain that looks like a face, if that thing were to stand up, it'd be enormous. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's honestly, I don't think we really understand the world at all. But as far as that goes, I think that there's a lot of evidence for some crazy stuff that's been here before we were. And, depend. It really doesn't matter if you're, let's say, a young Earth or an old Earth kind of person, because there's some people that think that the world is billions and billions of years old. There's some people that think that the world is only a couple thousands of years old. Either way,
Mm,
that's a lot of time for a lot of shit to happen. Because I mean, I've only been alive for 34 years, and there's a gang of shit that's happened. So if you were to
yeah.
take even a couple of thousand, that's so much history worth of stuff already happening. Like, who knows? We could be walking on a graveyard. Like, there could be, if we were to dig maybe 20 feet down, who knows what kind of skeletons and stuff we'd find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what's super nutty about
For the ants of the earth.
just like even shit that's just now being discovered, man. We're always discovering new shit. Like, I forget the scientist's name, but and the name of the town is really hard to fucking enunciate. Gobekli Tepe, I think it's called.
Oh, I know what
Oh
you're
my.
talking about, sir.
Yeah, it's a weird name, and I never enunciate it right.
Wow, the Cardiff Giant.
But it's a town they just found buried, and it wasn't just like, oh, a volcano went off. Like, no, it was physically buried. Like, people just buried the city. Like, okay, what the fuck happened here? That the king or whoever is in charge is like, you know what? Fill her up. Like, fucking just make it look like it's a fucking mountain right here. Like, who fucking does it? But it just seems like that's what happened because there's no ash or anything in the fucking. It's just like it was buried in dirt. Like they just said, well, we're moving on. Like you're fucking. Even out here in the United States, man, you still find old towns and old like even past towns. Like when Native Americans were here, it was just like you find shit built into canyons and shit, like homes. Uh, like it's for the most part, I think.
Towns carved in
Yeah,
cliffs. Like,
yeah, dude.
shit.
Yeah, some old ancient shit. Like these people had a way to like birth people, keep them alive long enough to make a community that meant to shit. Like try to keep peace between you and other nomadic fucking tribes that might just knock on your door one day and are like, hey, let's fucking go and find out who takes whose shit. Like, man, yeah, no. That like that's like all the stuff that we're like I always question things people are like, oh, it's dated. Like how the fuck do we date this shit? Like like let me take a core sample out of this wall right here and I'm gonna fucking figure it out. But I get like I'm sure there's a scientific way to get it and I'm just too goddamn stupid to fucking understand it. But to be quite honest, even that, I'm sure the guy who was like, this is how you calculate that. I'm even sure he's kind of like, oh, I hope this is what fucking is supposed to be the right thing. Like okay, all right,
This Petrified Giant thing is crazy.
Yeah, Petrified Giants,
I'm
just
just
look it
looking
up.
at right now.
Yeah,
They
Alexis
found
is over here
targets
losing her
in
mind
New
on
York.
looking up Petrified Giants on Google.
Huge.
She's like, what the fuck?
I
They're
said
everywhere.
I send them to Brother Mario every now and then, but I'll send him more because I'm
Yeah.
always looking into them. And the other one, Mrs. Clean Pump, to look into that'll pop up a lot of stuff is mud fossils.
Blood fossils.
Petrified giants and mud fossils. It's gonna bring up so much like stuff because the crazy thing is back in the early days of the United States, that was a newspaper article. What Brother Mario just showed on his camera was when some people found a giant, like basically mummified, and it was in really good shape. And that was a newspaper article. That shit used to be in the news all the time.
What? It's insane.
And
Right?
not just that, Mrs. Clean Pump, dinosaur bones too. Like before they get whisked away to the Smithsonian and shit, a lot of people used to find them like in their backyards or just when we were allowed to do shit like go out and explore and dig for stuff. We would find some crazy shit.
That's insane.
Dude, I can only imagine being one of the first people who like came up on the pyramids when they were first just trying to like fall apart. You know, when they still had all that white fucking
Boggling, brother. Just like what?
bro, like look what we built. We built these giant fucking pyramids made of ridiculous shit that probably reflect light from here. God knows where. Like I always try and remind myself how small I am compared to the universe. Like that shit is nuts, man. I could fart and just won't matter, man. Like there's
Big
just,
world out there, brother. Jesse
bro.
says, yo, I was looking into the author talking about North American giants. The fact that they seemed white with red hair made it harder to believe. Crazy thing is, fam, you don't have to look into just one author. I would say look into North American Indians themselves. Every tribe that has existed on North America has some kind of history and or stories about fighting giants. And certain little details might change, but the main thing that you're going to see, 5 finger or 6 fingers, 6 toes, double rows of teeth, and red hair. Now, whether they're pale, that may not always be the case, but those particular things, the double rows of teeth, red hair, 6 fingers, 6 toes, that's almost like a marker of how you would know that they, I mean, besides being giant, how that they're kind of unnatural,
Besides being way taller than me,
right?
you're like, hey, are you 40 feet tall or did I shrink?
What happened?
That's why I kind of feel like our Bigfoot is like that, was like a different version of that. You know what I mean? Of what those guys encountered.
I can believe that, brother. As far
Right?
so what I looked up is what percentage of the jungle has been explored, and what came up is 20%, a little less than 20% of the Amazon
Oh my
jungle has
god.
been cleared. So I want to say that that's deforestation and not even exploration. So we have cut down almost 20% of the Amazon forest.
Jesus Christ. We are
That's
a pariah.
crazy. And I wonder of what's left, how much we've explored, because I'm sure that the denser parts, like near the center of the jungle, you can't fucking like a regular person couldn't get in there without a lot of help. So I really don't think. And then it's same thing with the oceans. Like once you get deep enough, the pressure gets so bad there aren't a whole lot of tools we can use to even function down there. So we've only explored about 10%. I know it's less than 10%, but we'll be generous and we'll say about 10% of the world's oceans. And that's just crazy, brother, because then I imagine, and I think we talked about it last night, or even I know we've discussed it on a stream before, but like if we had a giant leaf blower and we went out to the Sahara Desert and we just blew the sand off, how much shit would we find, that's just covered up?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's gotta be crazy.
I always think about that too. It's like you're always just a little ways away from finding out someone's buried underneath your house,
Right.
you know, like
That's why I think we're like the ants of the earth.
right? That's a good way of looking
You know
at
what I mean? We're the
it.
ants
Just a
of the
big
earth.
ass fucking little weird
We're just
ant colony
ants.
living on the surface of Earth, just like trying to figure shit out.
Yeah, doing our thing.
No, no, yeah, dude. I'm always often. I'm like, there's so much fucking shit. There's that normal human beings haven't touched. You know, there's just so much uncertain. You think people have been all the way up and down? Look at that.
Teddy bear.
Oh,
Teddy bear.
that's her teddy bear. That's like her bag, but teddy bear, so it comes everywhere.
It's explored everywhere too.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out what the fuck was I talking about right now?
Exploration maybe.
Oh yeah, how much we haven't explored yet. I'm always looking out and I'm like, who the fuck has traversed all of Russia? Like, fucking, I guarantee
Yeah.
no one. Like, there's so much fucking shit we've not has never seen a
Climate.
foot, like a human footprint.
Yeah,
Like,
it'd be hard for that.
so
Just
you
like a
can only
desert.
imagine if there is like a set group of things that just survived, right?
Mhm.
Like if some people believe the Earth is billions of years old, I'm sure certain places they're just it's a different kind of thing,
Like the ocean, babe.
Yeah,
Like all the way to the depths. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure there are things still alive that haven't surfaced up, or they pop up every once in a while, like the Loch Ness. Who knows?
Yeah, like they still like there's a tribe in the middle of like some ocean, right? And they were pretty savage. That's why no one fucking went over there to like no, you can't talk to these people, bro. They literally think you're the devil and they're gonna fucking rip your limb from under.
Hell
And
yeah.
they were all yeah.
So there was, as far as like ancient architecture, I think stuff is crazy. Because I was thinking of this video that my lady sent me a while ago. There's an Aztec temple that if you stand in front of it and you clap your hands, the sound reverberates through the temple and it sounds like the Quetzal bird. And it was gnarly because the guy, he's a tour guide, and he's like, so if you clap in front of the temple and you hear it like yeah, and he's like, don't ask me how they do it because we don't know.
Yeah. Don't ask me how they do it, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of mushrooms and acid. No, there's a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
kind of like
crazy,
the whole.
even stuff like that. Little things that's like, I wonder what that was for. Like, was that to call everybody when it was time to worship or do something? Like when you heard the clap and the like, oh shit, time to go to the temple and see what's going on. I wonder about stuff like that. But I mean, it's gnarly to find things like that in the world that are so old,
Or maybe it's like a danger thing. Like
But we're smarter.
Right? To juxtapose that on our own, like there's no building that we could build right now that would last as long as that shit. Like I don't know, or rather we haven't. If we have the ability, we haven't. There's nothing that we could compare to any of that stuff.
Right? They're like, no, we can't be wasting our time building shit that'll last thousands of years from now.
Okay, I'm gonna heat up my nail and take another dab, guys. But I'm not sure if this would really be a conspiracy theory or not, but I think it would be an interesting conversation. There is this thing out there. It's called the Cern Project, which is a large hadron collider a couple miles underneath the ground that's being put together and studied and worked on by the greatest minds on Earth from all around the world. And there's a lot of different ideas or rather conspiracy theories you could throw out there as to what it's being used for, what it's really doing. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it, and especially the chat if you guys have any thoughts on it, because I know a lot of people know about it, but as far as like the particularities of what it does, I think that they're trying to study, because it runs electrons around and runs them into each other, and the goal is to smash them into each other so fast because they're almost at like light speed. They're trying to reproduce like the Big Bang and like monitor it or study it in some way. I think that's what they're doing, but I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I'm gonna put myself on mute and Brother Mario, Mrs. Clean Pump, love to hear your thoughts.
Ooh.
So I follow a dude that works at CERN, and he does lives from his TikTok, and I'm always like, is this bitch standing in front of a green screen? But no, I don't know enough about that shit, man. I know that they're like trying to fucking do exactly what you were just talking about, slamming particles together to find the God particle or whatever they call, and what's crazy to me is people are sitting around writing equations to make this shit happen. That is the crazy part for me. Like the construction, all that shit is even crazier. But like to be like, you know what? Let's make a giant donut underneath the ground, but like this much deep into the ground, just in case something crazy happens. But not just that, but the weird shit that they've put up around CERN. Like all the crazy statues that are at CERN, where it's like, if you're trying to not look sus, like this is definitely the way to not do that. Like they put all kinds of suspect fucking shit around that place. But like every person I talked about CERN's like, no, it's just cut of the edge fucking technology. We're trying to find blah blah blah. It's like, man, I don't know. And I think these people know we don't know.
Dirtnap Jones, as I would honestly agree with you, fam. He says, I think it's a portal prototype. A lot of the science that we understood as a kid is that a black hole is really dangerous because if one were to ever appear close to us or blah, 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 we would get sucked into it. But I think we have a misunderstanding of black holes. I don't think that they would do that. I think that they're just portals. But I think that we should be just as scared of them as those ones that we were taught about because we don't know what's on the other side. And if something never were to come through, we might have big problems. So it's interesting that Brother Mario would mention the stuff that's outside of CERN because there's also some stuff in the main office that's very interesting as well. And the gnarly thing is you can give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit because like the statue outside was actually a gift from one of the countries that had scientists working on the project. But it's just gnarly because it's Shiva dancing in a ring of fire, which is supposed to be like basically bringing about the apocalypse and just starting shit over from nothing.
Exactly. Fuck all that shit, man. Like, hey, we're not doing anything too crazy. Here's a statue of Shiva destroying all the world.
And then you get inside, and if you guys, so to everybody watching right now, Brother Mario, Mrs. Clean Pump, I'm sure that you guys have seen the Blade movies.
Yeah.
Love those movies.
When Blade gets to one of the vampire headquarters, he's looking around, and there's all these like pages of papyrus that are kind of like framed in glass. And he's walking through, and it's just a big old, I don't even want to say a hallway, but it's like a large dining area almost that they filled up the whole space with just these ancient pages. That same kind of shit is in the main office of CERN. They have old papyrus, and I don't know if it's hieroglyphics or if it's just some old ancient language, but they have blade-looking fucking vampire papyrus shit just chilling in there. And that, Brother Mario said it perfectly. If you don't want to look hella sus, you're going about it just so wrong. Just so wrong.
It's like the same way as me traveling with like jars of rosin and walking past a pair of fucking police officers smelling like 3 pounds of fucking the fire. Being
Your
like,
eyes all red, you look at him, you're like,
they're
gonna
like,
stop you.
they're like, oh, nothing's wrong here. Like, nah, this guy definitely pays all his taxes. Fucking, this guy he's all right. He's all right. He's like definitely not. He's not high. I'll tell you that. It's fucking hilarious. Like if you really don't want to look, it's yeah. But yeah, I do follow a dude who's on TikTok, and I try and follow along with him, but it's so above what the fuck I know that it's like as soon as he starts talking, I'm like, all I hear is then, it's, all the other words don't even fucking
It's
make
like
sense.
quantum physics.
Yeah, some
Everything.
quantum shit. He's like, well, the quantum field theory is, and I'm like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I'm not that smart, you know? So, but it's pretty interesting. But like I said, I think because I'm a simpleton and I don't really understand all that shit, it's kind of like how people used to get got by car salesmen, you know? That's how I feel about the situation. That it feels like I'm being sold a lemon.
All I know is what I stated here on stream, that I think that's what they're trying to do, but like even what that means or like how they go about doing it, all I know is it's a giant facility. And like if you look at, if you ever like take the, because they have a website and all that stuff, if you ever take the trouble to actually just look at like everything that makes up that project, just the machinery, like there's so fucking much, it's so massive. Like it's a huge project, and it's definitely worth at least like typing into your search bar if you've never heard of it before, because again, the greatest minds in the world scientifically are all collected out there. At least some of them are, and they contribute to that project to do something. You know, they're all working on it to do something. So I'm interested to see what that ends up being.
They got all kinds of crazy art and shit in their buildings.
Look at that.
Kind of weird looking. I can understand some like art, you know.
That's just a picture of the machinery that they put as like a thing on the inside too. That's
yeah, like the art, right?
On all the floors.
That's
Like
true.
perfectly.
Yeah, that's why I trip out about Tesla though. He's like, think of everything in frequencies, and I'm like, we're fucked. Like if someone figures this out, we're so fucked. People are gonna start liquefying each other. Shit's fucking gonna be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of stuff like one of the videos that I thought was really neat was we are getting into having like fucking predator technology where, you know, we have a thing that you could put in front of something and it's a little blurry, but whatever's behind that thing, you can't see it. It just looks like a blurry version of the stuff, and it's like, fuck, we're already there.
That's just the shit they're showing you.
Right?
They're like, oh yeah, we got this technology, buddies. Like you motherfuckers, you're not telling us everything you got. Like, of course not. That would be silly.
There's no way I can see you picking your nose in a satellite. No.
Dude, I do have. What's funny, man? Oh my god, I totally forgot to tell you about this, dude. At my sister's fucking party, there's this old man. What's his name? Paul.
Paul.
Super like super Christian of a guy. I can say that, dude. And what's funny is though is like his name stood out to me because Paul is a biblical name, right? So when I met him, I'm like, Paul, huh? I'm like, oh, you got a biblical name, and he's like, I'm glad you noticed that. I was his best friend from there on out. But he was telling me that one of his old buddies that he went to the military with, he's actually one of like these head guys for the Space Force.
Oh,
like he's one of the higher ranking officers. I don't know the name, and if I did, I probably wouldn't say it anyways.
Like,
but
that's the space program or whatever. That's a real government program. Like,
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that his buddy was telling him, yo, again, this is all hearsay. So, but he's like, we have a telescope that can look into the past. And his buddy was talking to him about him. He's like, yeah, we're working on just some of the weirdest technology that we've ever fucking dealt with. But he's like, we built a telescope to look out into space, but ended up building a telescope that could look into the past. and we're like people are gonna know that Jesus is a real person and like all this other shit. I'm like, what are you saying, Paul? Like this old ass man that you would not be sitting here going like this guy's making this shit up off cuff, you know? Like he was so dead serious, bro. He's like, you wait and see. My buddy is telling me, he's like, this they made a space force for a reason. Like it's not like, hey, let's just make a space force. Like it's he goes, I know it sounds like it's coming out of a comic book, but it's like, why do you think they would make a space force? And I was like, he's like, maybe there is no space. And I started fucking tripping out. I was like, this old man's blowing my mind. That wasn't even high, man. I was tripping out, dude. But he's like hardcore about, him and his wife have been together for a long time, over 40 years, I want to say. And so as like a recently young married man, I turned to him like, all right, what's the secret? Like what's the secret to having a long marriage? And he looks like his immediate response was like, me and my wife pray together every night for 5 minutes before we go to bed. And he goes, I think that's what keeps us going. The most honest, like the most sweetest, honest thing you can hear like a human being say, and that's what this guy said. He was.
His wife is cool too.
Yeah, and his wife was over with my wife.
Yeah,
and she's like,
cool.
you got to go save your husband because Paul is going to talk his fucking ear off because if there's an ear, he's talking in it.
Yeah, and she was like, maybe you want to save him. I said, no, maybe they got.
No, I like talking to those. I like talking to dudes like that because I'm just like, tell me more, bro.
Yeah, what's the secret, man?
But yeah, I completely forgot to tell you about that actually happened.
Crazy, dude.
So I was like,
yeah.
Look into the past, eh? Well, shit.
I was like, I don't think they can change it. They could just.
I don't think they can change it. I just think they can look into it, right? Like, even if it's friends.
I remember it wasn't like an article. It was just like a thing that I saw pop up on Instagram that was like science fact number blah blah blah. It was like if you were so many light years out into space and you had a telescope that could look to Earth right now, the way that light travels and all that kind of shit, you would see dinosaurs. And that was kind of the gist of that thing. So I could absolutely believe that somehow they found a way to refract light off of maybe something 1,000 light years away. And when you look at us from that perspective, you see the past somehow. That I could be totally off, but like I feel like there is some way that you might be able to. I don't think that there's ever going to be a way to interact with either the past or the future, but I do think somehow we will be granted sight into, like, it would be possible because people have premonitions. We talked about that during Paranormal Night. That's a vision of the future. So that's a real thing that happens to a lot of people. So I do think that it's possible to peek and maybe view into the future or the past, but I don't think that it's ever going to be something where we'll be able to interact with it. Because like the craziest thing, like when I have premonition, it's usually a conversation with people that I've never met in my dream about some stuff that I've never talked about before. And I know, like, I listen to that conversation, and so I know how the conversation's going to go. And it might be something that they walk out of a hallway and they begin the conversation with me unprompted. That will spark off the, oh shit, like I know exactly what you're going to say after this. So I stay quiet because I don't want to influence anything and be like, I made him say that. And they'll say the exact thing that I heard in my dream, and we'll have the conversation all over again. That's a vision of the future, but I can't interact with it or else it changes. So I have to just let it play out and see if that's actually it. So I think my idea is we will have some kind of way, or we may be able to manufacture a way at some point to look into either the past or the future. I just don't think we'll ever be able to interact with it.
And I think we're going to change that once people start getting chips in their heads and they can record everything in their life. You'll be able to play it back. I know everyone's seen that Black Mirror episode where they can click their eyes and their shit goes all gray and they're just looking at replays of their past life. Like at one point, I think it's gonna get to that point. You know, for some people.
And it's a scary thought, brother, because I watched those episodes, and the creepy part is not what they're doing. It's knowing that I live in a time where people would find that like, oh, dude, that would be fucking dope. And I'm like, when I watched it, the sex scenes really got me because, guys, you're talking about two people that are having sex with each other. And like Brother Mario said, their eyes are blanked out. They're not even looking at each other. They're replaying a memory of the best time that they had sex. And it might not even be with the person that they're on top of. And it's like, not only is that scary, but it's also really, it's a crazy thought of how many people would do that if they could. Like, you know, I've been married for 20 years. I hate my wife. Like, yeah, I'd like to think of some, like, it's just, there's a lot of people that would not want to deal with their own stuff and just do that instead. It's a crazy society. And if you guys have never seen Black Mirror,
Yeah.
you have Netflix,
Oh,
dude,
Black
check
Mirror.
out Black Mirror.
Hell yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not all the
Whole
same,
first season.
but they're all kind of
No.
linked to technology and how gnarly it can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
There's
that
one
stuff.
that I consider really fucking crazy compared to most of them, and it seems like it's not one of the more serious ones. But there's one about how people are paired up, and they just get paired up by a system. It's like if they work the best, it's they'll match, and you get to go on a date with them and figure out if you like them or not. But it tells you how long you're going to stay together right off the bat. So you could be with them for 14 days, or you could be with them for 60 years. And you can't change it. Like if you like them or not doesn't matter. Like this is the person you need to know before you meet like the final it person, and then you can fucking get married or do whatever. But for some reason, like this one couple matched up, but they were only supposed to be together for like a few weeks or something like that, and then they got to really like each other. Then they didn't want to separate when that happened, right? But they went their separate ways. Then they got with like two other partners that they were like, this is fucking terrible. And they went through that for like years. And then all of a sudden they came back together on another match. And they're like, what the fuck? We matched each other again? That's crazy. And then they didn't want to like leave each other. So I don't, it's one of these crazy ones. But I think that one's the most nuttiest because it's just like, how do we get to that? How do we get to that society
It was
where it's like,
the trippy thing, because I remember that episode, brother. It was a dating simulation. And the way that they ended up finding out that they were perfect for each other is they escaped the simulation together, and that was the test. It was like you could stay with these people for however long, but the person that you want to actually get out of here with, that's who you're supposed to be with. So once they did that, they woke up and they were actually in person.
yeah, that's crazy, right? You're like, oh, we passed a test. That felt like a lifetime.
Fuck. Yeah, that's all gnarly episodes. Black Mirror, great series, guys. Go check that out.
Oh yeah. Especially the first season and like the one now, it's like they were so intense. I remember we could only watch like one of them like every couple days because that shit was so real. Like it could really happen. Like then now the one that God, I can't remember which one, probably episode 4, where there's Bryce Dallas Howard, the redhead, and they had social scoring.
Yeah, that's the one that's the mind fuck. I couldn't believe that they're talking about the social
Yeah.
scoring one where it's like, oh no, I'm only a 2.5 star now.
Nobody will help her because they looked up her social scoring and she had.
They're like,
gotten,
no, she can't be chilling with us. She's not
Yeah.
even a 2-star. But for me, the scariest part is that our society is ready for that right now. There are people literally out there that are like, yeah, man, that's cool. I would never hang out with like a 2-star, like it's not a big deal to them. They're like, yeah, I might as well. It's like a Yelp review for your soul, like for your human being, for your carcass. Like I feel like they want us to live out our lives through fucking social media at this point. Like, what's
Filter
your
bubble,
story?
brother. Yep.
Yeah.
Live through a filter bubble.
Yeah.
Okay, and it sounds like you guys really enjoy Black Mirror. I did as well. There's an animated version of that, not exactly, but they do crazy stuff. It's called Love, Death, and Robots. Have you guys started?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Great series.
Yes, that one was fantastic.
I think it was Sunny's Edge, the underground monster fighting. That was my favorite one. I thought because it just had a crazy twist to it, and I thought that was really neat. So if you guys ever want to check that out, the chat watching right now on Netflix, there's two different series. There's Black Mirror and there's Love, Death, and Robots. Love, Death, and Robots is a lot shorter as far as episodes go. And what I mean by that is the individual episodes are much shorter than the individual episodes of Black Mirror. But they're really cool sci-fi animated stories. They're all completely different. And like, it's just gnarly how fast the pace can change, because you might watch like a really funny one about some robots that are just roaming around the apocalypse and humans aren't around anymore and they're just touring, and then you go to one that's like super duper serious and has to do with like ghosts and robots and shit. So it's a wild ride, but all of the cartoons are dope as fuck. And I want to say the other one besides Sunny's Edge that was really my favorite, I can't remember the name of it, but it was about two salesmen that are on their way somewhere and their car breaks down in the middle of the desert. And so they get to talking about how they're going to have to spend the night there in the car because they're not going to be able to walk far enough before it gets cold and all this shit. And there's one young guy and one old guy. And the old guy starts looking around. He's like, man, can you imagine this whole desert millions of years ago used to be underwater? And they go to sleep that night and they wake up and it's like they're part of this weird dream where they're not like back in time where they're underwater, but they can see all the fish and stuff swimming around their car, like the canyon that they're in is underwater. And so they get out of the car and they start looking around. That's one of my favorite episodes just because of how visually awesome it is. That episode is fucking gorgeous, and like the colors and everything swimming around. It's a really, really cool episode.
Yeah, I just remembered it right now where I was like, oh yeah, but it was like a really good visual of like, yo, this would be crazy if I was peeking on Shroom's keys. Or
yeah, you look at the sky.
It's like, what are we watching? Is this real life? Yeah.
Yeah, they could see fish swimming, but they were in the sky.
From like the rest of the series, because there's not really any technology in it. Like, it's just a really neat episode, and I really dug that one.
Yeah, that was cool. Like maybe they're literally seeing the past, like the ghosts of those fucking fish. Like this used to be the bottom of the ocean. I fucking told you, Brad.
Yeah.
But like I could fucking see that. But yeah, I don't even remember how I interpreted it. I thought maybe they were dead and shit. They're just like I'm like, I don't know, maybe they're dead. Like I don't know. I don't really remember my initial reaction to it, but now that I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a pretty trippy one.
That was a dope episode.
Yeah.
That series. I don't think I've even watched it all. Ponytail.
No,
on fam. Okay, so Dirtnap says, sounds like Project Looking Glass. I know that I've heard that name before, but I don't know exactly what it is. I do think that he was referring to what Brother Mario was talking about, though, as far as the scientist friend of his old buddy that was able to kind of peek into the future, or into the past. Sorry. And I think it's interesting that the scientist friend relayed to the old man information about Jesus. Like, he looked into the past and he saw stuff about Jesus. That's really interesting.
Who knows, right? But dude, that would be pretty crazy. If you're like, oh, if you're wondering if it's real and if it happened, we have this telescope. You can look at that.
Well, yeah, think of Paul.
Well, that's why I'm like, well, then they wouldn't let just anyone look through it. They would make it a big deal because then you could be like, let's see who really killed JFK. Like, just point it back. You know, like, I'm sure they're not going to allow it to be for everybody, you know? Like, what do you think of this metaverse shit? I think that's also a big, like, a big conspiracy in a sense where people don't really know how to feel about it, you know? Because, like, some people are like, I don't want to live my life in a digital world. Like, but some people are like, dude, it'd be dope. You just be chilling on your pad and you can go to Jeremy's party, but you don't really have to be there. Because you're just in the VR, so you're just chilling with everyone else who's in VR there, but like there's people physically there, but that we're there in the VR realm, and then they can see us on the screen walking around. They could probably send us text message. Dude, it's gonna get too much at one point where I don't know. That's just how I feel. I'm
So
like, how much more?
it reminds me, one of my favorite books is Fahrenheit 451. And the basic premise of that is reading is illegal because knowledge is so important and coveted by the elite that they would rather have everyone be comfortable and stupid than aware and independent. So being able to proliferate knowledge is a very, very important thing in this future, but it's relegated only to the elite. So it is literally illegal to own books or to read in this society in this book. And it focuses on this guy whose name is Guy, and he's a firefighter. But in this future, firefighters do not put out fires. They're almost like police officers, and they go and find people that are hoarding books and fucking set them on fire. So there's oh shit, I'm kind of high. Where was I going with that?
The book Fahrenheit 9/11, how it's like parroting our shit right now.
As far as okay, so Guy, his wife, that's where I was going with that. So the way that his house is in this future is that his wife never leaves because her living room, basically 3 of the 4 walls are like interactive TV screens. So she can be almost anywhere in the living room. She can maybe even be in the kitchen if there's like an open wall. And let's say that she has a sitcom on. The sitcom is almost programmed in a way to slightly interact with her. So they'll be in the middle of a scene and they'll be like, oh man, that was funny. Wasn't it, Alice? And then everyone will look at her like they're waiting for a response. And because she is addicted to this thing, she almost considers the sitcom family like her real family. And she doesn't leave the house. She doesn't want to interact with other people. Like, she'll make dinner for her man and all that, but other than that, she's chilling and interacting with that program. So honestly, brother, I feel like, that's a less interactive version than VR, because now you're fully immersed in that shit, and it's not, you're not still here in the present, in the physical. Now you're just immersed in that headset. So I could see it being a thing, and there's people that are, it's like, so the gnarly thing about stuff like that is it's easy to get addicted to it, and therefore there are people that are really going to take it like too far. But I think that there's going to be like, it would really be dope to be able to go visit the Taj Mahal and not have to actually buy a ticket and go into all the crowds, but put a virtual headset on and tour the Taj Mahal and be able to look around. That would be really cool. So I think that there's uses for the technology that would be really awesome. But I also think, like anything else, people are going to abuse it really fast.
Yeah, like all that's like fine and dandy for sure. Like, oh, I've never been to this place. You just toss it on. But it really is like saying McDonald's French fries are the best French fries when you know good damn and well that they're not. Like, I don't know. Like virtual reality to me has always been like, you can get a sense of what things feel like. Like if you go on a VR ride where it's like it's just a machine that is like just shifting its way back and front, and you have a VR headset on, but since your eyes are taking this information in, like me and my wife went on this ride in Las Vegas where it's just like a 3D ride where you put the fucking VR goggles on. I want to do all the scary shit, but my wife, she was like, let's do like the one that's not too scary, and then we'll do I'm like, all right, well then we're doing the fucking like, it's like a machine that pretends that it's swinging back and forth. I don't know if there's a bunch of type of rides like this everywhere around
Right.
America, but you're on a fulcrum and you're sitting in a seat where your feet are dangling and it's just like a circle and it fucking swings you back up and forth like to the top and the bottom every time. And this shit, it works so well that it just you know you're not going to fall out of your seat, but because the seat is tilted forward a little bit, you feel like, oh shit, like there's no way you're going to fall out. Like literally, there's no, unless you literally just fell out your damn self. You know, like just like leaned forward and fell. You know, like there's no way you're falling. But yeah, yeah, I did. They had like these little air jets that would kind of shoot air at your face, and it had, yeah, it was a pretty interesting little fucking little ride. But even I was like, dude, this is pretty. Even though what I was looking at was digital as fuck, like like you're looking at a fucking screen,
Right.
like.
Well, you look down and you put your feet up. You look down and
Yeah, I mean, anywhere you look, yeah, you could see like your feet, like around the person next to you and shit. That's how the VR thing was working. So like my wife literally, like I after I took it off, I was like, I know everything I just saw is like it looks like shit. I know it's not reality, but because this machine did its job so well, I still feel like I went through this thing. So all we need to do now is just like if that visually would look like what it would look like in real life, of course you're gonna be okay with living this virtual reality life where you can just sit in a chair somewhere and it'll like do all the sensations for you. And that's why I found the Matrix to be kind of like the weirdest symbolism where it's like, oh yeah, you're just like linked up in the back of the head and shit and like just getting pumped.
Well, that's
we
the
don't
thing.
even have to.
Okay, well, cheers. I'm going to take this first, and then we'll discuss that because it's definitely going there. And that's the thing is, that's the next logical step that people are going to take is I can see it, but now I need to feel it, and I need those implants to be able to interact with the thing in virtual reality and feel it.
Oh man, I felt it all right.
Bro, I mean,
I got sick.
if you're just a rat in a cage, right? Like they're trying to make us okay to be. If you're just being a rat in a cage where they're like, sorry, you got to stay at home all the time, but you can still go get, like, you can leave your house to go get your food and your necessities, but then you got to come right back home. But it's cool because the government's going to issue all your entire family these awesome virtual reality things. And you guys can go wherever you want and then do whatever you want and everything's free. That's where I fear things are going, where they're just like, we're going to clean everything up because you're just going to stay inside your box like a little rat, like we're telling you to. You're going to eat the pellet food we give you.
The thing is, what's scary is how many people are going to say, yes, please. That's the scary part. That's the scary part. It's not even that they would do that. It's that there's so many people that are ready for that shit. Like, they're like, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Fucking.
So true, man. You just pointed out. That's so true. I try and tell Alexis that all the time. Like, dude, some people really, they don't fucking care. They're literally here and they don't fucking care about what they're gonna do, what's coming next. How can I be useful to my society? How can I be a better person? They're just like, whatever the minimum is, that's what I want to fucking do. That's what I want to do.
It'd be like Wally.
So when you tell someone like, I'm going to put you in this beautiful apartment, yeah, it looks just like everybody else's, but you can decorate the inside however you want. But you're going to be here and do these things, but you don't have, you do whatever you want to do. You want to be the greatest fucking painter, go ahead, but I doubt anyone's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to put a lot of effort into that because you're giving me everything. That's why, for me, it's a weird trade-off where you're going, okay, in order to just be okay, to be like, hey, I don't have to worry about paying for a house, paying for water and electricity, but I have to obey these fucking rules whenever I'm told, Like, as long as I don't have to do a lot of hard work in order to get a base of, hey, this is my life, like, I've earned this, and that's why I have this home. No, it's just like, this is how reality is now. I have this basic ass apartment that I don't have to pay for, and all the cars are automated, so I don't have to worry about fucking owning a car. So I'm just just ordering a car to get to my house and it'll take me to wherever I want to go without another driver in there. Like that type of shit is what like I fear detachment of human interaction so much, dude.
Well, not just that, brother. There's going to be a loss of independence that goes with it. Because if you have a smart car that doesn't even need a steering wheel anymore because it runs completely on fucking Wi-Fi or GPS. What happens when you get in and you have like an outstanding warrant you didn't know about, and instead of taking you to your destination, they take you to the fucking police department
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
because you forgot to pay a parking ticket or some shit, and so it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's a slippery slope. And the thing is you just I don't know.
They have to
Dude, that
forget
is a
ya. You don't pay
slippery
your
slope,
car
man.
payment,
You're
your
right.
car cuts off.
I appreciate the fact that I'm in like company and we worry about the same kinds of things, because the truth is that our society is heading more towards automation and more towards less effort into stuff because a robot is doing it somehow, or GPS is or Wi-Fi is connected. So we're definitely integrating more and more into some kind of system, and there's a lot of interconnectivity with technology. That's definitely, I mean, we used to have address books, and
Yeah.
we used to remember phone numbers and addresses and things like that when we didn't have address books. And now, this little thing does most of our thinking, most of our research, most of our remembering. So it's again, it's a
It's
slippery
pretty
slope,
scary.
because somebody's going to
Yeah.
come around one day and be like, I can put like 50 of these worth of memory in your brain so that you can just save a gang of pictures and stuff. I think Brother Mario mentioned it a little bit earlier this stream. Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be somebody, like, we're going to get to a point where hardcore integration with technology is going to happen on some level. I think that honestly, we may see it in our lifetime.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. 100%. Like I see the world as like a big playing field for people who have loads of money and just are like willing to spin some shit, you know?
Oh yeah.
But they have like a hardcore way of life that I think that's why most people are just okay with just living, you know? Where other people are like, no, I need to control shit, you know? Like, and that's why I think most of us feel like most of us would be like, yeah, it's okay, we'll just get along, but we can't. We need motherfuckers that are out there that are like, no, we got to set this up. We got to write these rules down. We got to make sure everything's legal and above board because it needs to be fair. Like, and even now, we all know everything ain't fair. Like, we all know people who got a lot of money are above the law, no matter what color of your skin you have. Like, it's all in the matter of dollars, you know.
Oh yeah.
And that's like if you have enough money, you're never gonna really get it's a fine. I remember watching a video, I think that's kind of semi-viral, of a dude talking about like there's no such thing in America as like, oh yeah, we're gonna, or anywhere in the world. It's just like if you have enough money, you can pay your way out of it, you know. So for some people, other than the ultimate like killing someone or being fucking a murderous crazy person, but like normal laws where it's like, oh, you can't, you can't, you can't be, you can't be flying from this country to that country. You can't like be trading this thing to this place, but they do it anyways, and they just pay the fucking fine. Like, I don't give a fuck. Shut up. Here's my money. Shut the fuck up. We'll see you next year for the fine again. Like they don't even give a shit, you know. And then so with some crime too, it's some crime that, oh, you're gonna supposed to serve 2 years or 4 years, or like, no, just gonna pay the fine and we're good. I'll have a criminal record, but whatever. I'm still fucking making money. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's see. You guys got any good conspiracy theories?
Dude, okay. So I was trying to look up some like more newer ones. But like my big conspiracy theory right now that a lot of people are talking about, that I don't know which one is right or wrong because what the fuck do I know? But people who are saying that Russia And Ukraine right now it has everything to do with biolabs inside of Ukraine, and that Russia's trying to kill off these biolabs and shit like that. I'm like, who thought of this shit? Like, someone's sitting down going, I know what it is.
This is
Like,
the
I don't even know. But that's a conspiracy theory that's floating around right now, that Russia is just trying to stave off Charles Schwab and George Soros from taking over the entire world. And I'm just like, I don't know, bro. I guess, I'm one of those guys that's basically playing fucking craps with life at this point. Like, you're like, what'd you say? All right, let's see if this one fucking sticks. Like, I don't know. But people there's so many crazy conspiracy theories going on with just the conflict that's going on right now, man.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of the big ones that a lot of people are like, oh no, Putin is actually trying to, like, not allow the new world order to take over. And I'm like, I think it's just Putin, like, I think he's a Russian that no one fucks with, and he's just like, let's fucking poke the stick. I got the stick. There's a bear. Let me see what happens if I try. And that's what I think, because I honestly think, like, the whole nuclear option is like, I don't know, man. I don't think either country is like, yeah, I'm down to do it, but we both know that we have them, so that's always just kind of be part of the fucking
It's on the
speculative. Yeah,
Mhm.
So who wants to inherit nothing, like equal
Exactly.
destruction? Like, what is that? What the fuck does that prove at all? Like, like that's my whole problem with that conspiracy. It was like, as much as a motherfucker wants to believe someone's out there fighting these crazy families that have been in charge for forever now, like have you ever watched the show Yellowstone?
I have not, brother.
That is a miniature model of everything everyone in the entire world is trying to do, and whether or not you're willing to fucking do what's necessary in order to preserve a land that's been in your family for a long time, or just in general, like, every human being, or most people have like this plan of, like, I want to get old enough to fucking buy a piece of property or buy a home and call that home for a little while, but it's like we're just living out this, like, narrative that we've been taught over and over again for many millennia, right? Like, parents have shit out children, and children are like, I'm going to be better than my parents, and then they shit out children, and then sometimes they fuck that up, and then sometimes they don't. And it's like, how did we get to this position right now where you can be an influencer? Like, what the fuck is going on with life right now? I don't know, man.
It's a strange time to be alive, brother. Definitely. Lots of crazy stuff happening. And there was a meme that I came across a while back that I saved, and it was like this chick talking to this guy, and it's like, the chick was saying, I'm an Instagram model. What do you do? And the dude was saying, I'm a soldier on Call of Duty.
Yes. If we could figure out how to fight wars on fucking gaming systems, we would end all conflicts. It would just be a bunch of drunk bastards who are like, I'm gonna get you next time, dude, and they're all just drinking and maybe having a little bit of a fight afterwards. But
there is no conflict that can't be handled with joysticks and around a Street Fighter.
yeah, 100%, dude.
Or
100%.
there's other games that you could use, like Mario Kart. Mario Kart is a really easy game to learn, and a quick match can solve many disputes. Smash Bros is pretty easy to pick up, and that can fucking solve a dispute. Plenty of
Imagine
things.
we're like, is Russia and Ukraine gonna go to war? I don't know. They gotta play fucking 10 rounds of Smash Brothers, and whoever wins the most, like, that gets to end up not getting invaded. Like,
Can't contest it. Can't contest. The rest of the world's gonna back them up. Can't fuck
yeah.
That
Yeah, so we're all basically waiting for people to play a video game and then for everyone to be like, "What the fuck are we doing? We're still gonna fucking go."
and it can't be like gamers, brother. It has to be like fucking Putin and Biden. They have to be the ones playing. Like it can't be representatives. It has to be the leaders.
We would be so fucked, dude. Biden when he doesn't know his hand from his ass right now, like let alone move with fucking two double joysticks with fucking several buttons and triggers.
But it would be entertaining.
Oh my god. That was like the very first fucking Black Mirror I watched was the one with the politician fucking the pig.
That was the
Oh,
first
Prime
episode,
Minister.
brother. I was like, "What the fuck is this? What the
Prime
rest is
Minister.
gonna be like?" And then,
Yeah, and what the artist did after that was just like, yeah, I guess I would have too, man. Like, fuck.
that was a savage episode, though. And I mean, what a way to kick off a series, right?
Yeah, that was.
I was like, is this the fucking first episode? Like, yep, like it's the first fucking episode. That's a doozy, bro.
Yeah, it's
Hard
crazy.
start. Hard start.
Yeah. You know what's another crazy episode from that show too, dude? Is when those people are just being paid to kind of cycle about to generate energy.
Oh yeah.
I'm like this. This is the one I really hope life isn't like, dude. Like,
Save up their points and fucking skip at. You have to have so many points, or else you got to watch the ads. All kinds of.
that's basically what we got now. Like,
Yeah.
literally, like, there's no difference, man. We're living that shit right now.
That was on his walls like Fahrenheit 451, though. He was living in a room where he was surrounded on all sides by a screen.
Dude. That shit's coming so fast.
Oh, brother. And people can't wait. I mean, again, it's going to be one of those things where it's like, you mean I can have an interactive fucking screen like around me? Fuck yeah. The show,
Like, why would I ever leave to go to the Sahara Desert when it can come to me?
the show's going to talk to me? Like, fine, install that shit. Bring it in.
Yeah, I can imagine a world like that, man.
Mm-hmm. Did we really land on the moon?
So, another conspiracy theory. Did we really land on the moon?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I got...
Uh-oh.
Show me the book.
It's actually a DVD, brother.
Oh!
Astronauts Gone Wild. So
Wow.
it's actually the documentary from that guy that got punched in the face from Buzz Aldrin. And what it
my
was
God.
is that he made a documentary of going around to everybody that had claimed to have gone out in space. And he was like, "Hey, bro, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind swearing on this Bible right here on camera that you actually did what you said you did." And rather than swear on that they actually did what they said they did, they got very, very angry and they started arguing with him about various things. And it's just weird because you could call it dementia. He's pretty old now, but Buzz Aldrin has been seen quite a few times in interviews and on camera when he's asked about going into space, and he'll tell you, "No, I didn't. We didn't go." So I'm not exactly sure what to make of that. Again, he's getting pretty old now. It might be dementia, but again, there's multiple occasions that you could look up of him being on camera or in an interview where he'll talk about that being kind of not the case. So I wonder about that. And then there's other things like when I've actually looked into certain things. I looked into the moon rover that they use, brother, and there's literally a fucking lawn chair on it. Like it looks like a bare bones Jeep frame with a lawn chair and just like a couple of extra things. And it's just, I don't know, it seems kind of fishy because on top of that, back in the day, our president called them and talked to them from a landline.
Okay. Oh.
From what I understand, the way that a landline works is that it's a secure line from here to another physical place on Earth here in this place. So I don't know how the president would pick up an old school just right right in front of the rotary telephone. He had the little block of numbers that he had to punch in and shit. I don't know how he did that to the moon. But
Yeah, like they set it up. They set it up, bro.
I also think it's very interesting that the moon landing itself has a square on Hollywood Boulevard, and it has, the same kind of credentials that a movie might get. So there it is, brother.
It does look like a couple lawn chairs.
Right? Like, you telling me we spent millions and millions and millions of bucks, and this is what you built? This.
They're like, yeah, John, looks good.
It's not even what? Oh
That
my
shit
gosh!
passed inspection, and we sent it to the moon, y'all. And then the
See,
president called them from the landline to make sure they got there safe.
Like, what the fuck does this little satellite thing do in the first place?
Right?
Like, back then, they like, what the fuck is that?
I never noticed that.
And
I just wanted
honestly,
to know if it was for real.
it's hard for me to say because I would love to believe that we have the kind of technology to do that. But then so to even add on to all I also think it's strange. I also think it's strange that NASA seems to have lost all of the footage of the moon landing, and like, not only have they
What?
yeah, it's they've lost
Get out.
most of the documentation and pretty much all of the footage, and what we have is, like, in our videos, is just what's left. And on top of that, they can't recreate the technology that we had back then, which is why we haven't gone back. And I've seen videos of like NASA scientists saying that, like, yeah, we haven't been back because we can't replicate the technology. So I think it's weird. I think it's weird because then you have guys like, Elon, who says that he's sending all, apparently there's a Tesla with a mannequin floating around by Mars or some shit. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Dude, what? I didn't know it got that far. What? They lost the.
Dude, there's a lot of shit that I'm like, what? Like,
it was done in a nice studio.
how's a normal guy like me supposed to just get along with fucking life like this? Like, when people are doing the most craziest fucking thing. Like, a man shoots a rocket up into the outer space and is like, I'm gonna land that bitch. Like, I don't know, like, fucking Elon is like, we just need a few more equations to figure out.
Jones says they about to cut your live stream. He knows out. You know why, y'all. You know why. But so even as far as that goes, brother, what I think is really interesting about launching rockets into the air is that pre-NASA, Jack Parsons, when he would launch rockets into the air, he would always make some kind of ritual to a pagan god before he did that. So there's a lot of
fucking Tommy.
I have right here.
What the hell?
There's a whole book that I have about it.
Sex and rockets.
Yeah.
Get
out.
out.
He was one of the pre-runners to NASA, and he was very much into the occult. So he would go out into the desert and he would do rituals and set off rockets. And there's a lot of crazy shit. Like, okay, I'll break out 2 other books and I'll show you guys this weird connection that I made.
I'll tell you guys another wacky ass fucking.
I can't believe this.
Wacky ass conspiracy theory of mine is tiny little drones making a big picture in the sky.
Dude.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. That was the wrong book. As far as like hologram technology and stuff, Michael Jackson and Tupac are doing tours right now.
What?
What?
Huh?
Like, they have hologram shows that you can book, and if you look up like Tupac hologram, Michael Jackson hologram, it looks like they're on stage doing their routines. And it's
God, it's probably at PRG.
It's crazy how far we've gotten with hologram technology already. So,
dude,
like, and that, like Elvis and shit like that, because that's where I think that they tried to really like prototype it, was how realistic can we get this performer to look on stage. And I tell you what, like, that shit looks pretty believable. Fucking Tupac walking around on stage doing his thing. Like, it's a trip, bro. So, okay, I have this book of this guy that went around looking at different military patches and trying to interview people that had them in their collection and talking about what they were. And there's this one right here. So this particular patch says Pan Palladium at Night, and it has to do with a particular launch that NASA did. But what I think is interesting is not only is there a reference to the pagan god Pan, but there's a reference to this thing called palladium. Well, it just so happens that in masonry, there is a level of masonry called the palladium level. Let's see. It's right underneath the Illuminati. The palladium.
Huh.
So I think it's interesting that these guys would make reference to pagan stuff and Masonic stuff. And again, I think it's interesting that the moon landing has a square on Hollywood Boulevard, like a movie does. And then one of my like, it's hard not to think about the Red Hot Chili Peppers song that goes, oh, that was you guys. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. That's one of my favorite lyrics to a song because that shit is kind of crazy. And, you know, we could go on and on, but I think it's strange that there are all of those things having to do with us landing on the moon that kind of contradict maybe that happening.
Oh, man.
Oh, did you hear about those pictures with people that they've seen back in the day that signify time travel?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen this on the internet, but there's a ton of pictures of celebrities having like dead replicas, but these are pictures from like way early. Or they're like, oh no, they've been cloning for a long time. They just clone themselves and keep on going and shit. I'm like, fuck, what are the chances of that shit, dude?
I was talking about like there's like old ass pictures, and then you can see the guy in the background. He's wearing like a T-shirt with glasses, but it's like a picture from the 1920s.
Yeah, like there was one of the JFK where the guy looks like he's on a cell phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck? Like, how did this guy? Oh.
There's a person with an umbrella.
Why else would anyone be doing this? You know, like.
I've heard of pictures like that, brother, and I think that I've seen one. I'm just not sure if it was doctored or not because it was like an old school picture, and it was a lady. It was like a lady. She was dressed up, and it was very old school looking, but she had something up to her ear like a cell phone as well. And yeah, it was making the case for kind of time travelers being caught in certain situations doing things that were out of place, or you know, wearing something that was out of place that we would recognize today. I had totally heard of stuff like that.
Yeah, man, that's a real crazy thing to think about. Like, oh shit.
And as far as like the rich staying richer, it would be very interesting if, you know, there was some kind of way that they had of rejuvenating themselves and just being able to kind of glide through time, because there's a lot of yep.
Look like a dude with like sunglasses.
There's like a guy chilling there in this photo. That's obviously you see everyone else around him. That's like a 1920 or some shit. I don't know.
He's definitely
then there's a bro just chilling right there. Like, what is Bromy doing right there? Like, it looks like he's wearing a Volcom shirt and shit.
That's what I was gonna say. Got a fucking logo on there and everything.
Yeah, like, yeah, man.
Guys, trippy stuff. Let's see. Gurnap Jones says, I've been to MJ here in Vegas. It's trippy. So, Brother Dirtnap Jones has seen Michael Jackson perform in Vegas. He's seen that.
What?
What?
Hologram technology, guys. I'm telling you, it's pretty good. That shit is, and so I haven't seen it. I've just seen the videos of it. Brother Dirtnap Jones has been there in person, so that's got to be kind of gnarly.
I only think that's going to get even more crazier because what started the 3D projection started was they were misting water. They would mist water and project into that mist. That's why I'm like, oh, clouds. Oh, we're gonna be getting fooled on in here in no time flat, man. Because if you can do that in water mist, then a cloud is probably gonna be able to do the same damn thing. You're just projecting some shit into a cloud, and instead of like, having to fly a plane, now you're just projecting shit into a fucking fine mist of some shit.
and these
Oh,
guys are
that'd
all
be
about sleight of hand, so I mean, there's going to be some interesting stuff they might throw in the sky.
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. I've always thought that too. I'm like, man. I know we talked about chemtrails barely yesterday, but I was gonna mention that I follow this guy on Instagram that he takes air samples the days he thinks shit is in the air. He's like, we've all seen it. When we walk outside, it's blue sky, everything's fine. He goes and I'll take samples of the air, and then you start to see the X's get laid across, and then I'll take samples of the air after that, and he'll tell you what is in that air, which is like certain particulates, shit that they say that they're not spraying, but is there. He's like, yeah. So the days you see this shit going down, like just stay inside, put on a HEPA filter. That's the best thing you can do. He's like, but yeah, shit is definitely getting
It's
sprayed
out there,
around, dude.
yeah. We're getting
Yeah,
sprayed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
it's for the better good. I've always liked that film too. What's the name of that film? You remember it has those two British guys we like so much, like the chunkier one,
Oh, Shaun of the Dead people.
Shaun of the Dead.
So
Ah,
Simon
yeah,
Pegg
that's a
and
good
another
one.
guy.
The Simon Pegg thing, like I feel like that's just what's happening on a global scale. You know what I mean? Like I feel like multiple people are trying to do that, and that's what's been going on for centuries. Like that's how I feel about it. Like people want like their little town or their state or their country to run a particular way. So families are that have been around for ages and ages who have the better start have always been like, okay, we got to kind of like keep this shit going round the way that we've best known how it's been run. Yeah, and just try and like work off that. That's why I think so many people get it so fucked up because it's like we could have a very peaceful world and all get to experience crazy shit if we just all viewed it to have more value than what it really has. Like I think people take for granted how just being able to turn on a faucet to have cold or hot water
Right?
is such a fucking is such a blessing that you don't have to think about it. You don't have to go like, I wonder if the river's dry. Like you don't have to do none of that shit. You just go and you open up, you go, and then you have fucking hot or cold water. Like I don't think people grasp how fucking crazy it is that you just have that. How crazy it is that society holds itself together under such a crazy, fictitious fucking set of laws and hopefully morals that have been instilled in you. Like, I think that's the trippiest thing. Just like the biggest conspiracy theory is just life itself. Like, so many people are just like, yeah, I'm just doing what I think is the right thing to do. You know, and some people think the right thing to do is kill a bunch of innocent people. That's a fucking crazy thing to me, man. Like some people are like, I'm gonna be the best basketball player. I'm gonna be like, there's some dude out there that's just like, I'm gonna kill a bunch of people because it feels right. Like, life is a fucking trip, man.
There
Life
was
is a fucking.
a gnarly meme that I ran across that had even a gnarlier illustration. There was this guy, he was just like sitting down, but his there was an alien that was kind of like grasping his head and he was about to pull his mind open, there was just a crack, like where that is, and his basically like he had his fingers in there, and the caption said, "Be careful because half the time you're thinking, you're actually listening."
What the hell?
That's a good fucking.
You know, one of the core tenets of meditation is to quiet yourself and empty yourself of any kind of thoughts that you might have, so that you become an empty receptacle for messages from the universe, as if there are things that are trying to speak to us. And there's even scripture that talks about we should really test our thoughts, like, because we don't know which thoughts are actually our own all the time. We get tempted sometimes and we might think that a thought is ours, but it might not be. So there's all these different places where you could find, like, you have to be careful about what you're thinking, because you might actually be listening to an idea that's being broadcasted to you.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, Bill Gates and his patent for the microchip.
Fucking Bill Gates and his patent for a liquid microchip, motherfucker.
All bad stuff, brother.
Step
All
down
bad
from
stuff.
Microsoft's
Yeah, and
CEOs
dude, that's an
work in the
even bigger
medical field.
conspiracy theory is the whole Charles Schwab and fucking Soros fucking deal going around the planet, where Charles Schwab just seems like he's like the biggest Mr. Burns, like the real life Mr. Burns of reality, man. Like that dude is crazy. When that dude says you will own nothing and be happy, like that is some legit James Bond evil character shit to fucking say. And people are like, what is money? Money's nothing anyway. It's a construct of the hierarchy. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I get it, but you know, until we find a better way of doing things, like enslaving a bunch of people probably doesn't sound like the best thing. Like, we should try and like, you know, but that's the hard thing, man. Life is not black and white. Everything is gray. It always has been. It's never gonna be like we finally found the way. Like no. Like everyone always asks me like, well, why can't we just make the perfect cell phone and not allow these companies to create all these worthless cell phones? I'm like, you have to create the worthless cell phones in order for the great cell phone to come around. So it's like there's no intention to make anything better unless there's competition, in a sense where, and it's just natural human instinct, and that's what I think people are like, well, no, if we do, I'm like, no. Have you not been around the human race long enough to know that competition is what drives fucking everything? Like, there is no like, oh, he did all right. Like, no. Competition drives so much ingenuity. Could we get to the point where we're like, oh, we all just have the same perfect cell phone and we all have the perfect diet so none of us die? Do you think we'll be sufficed that way? No, because no one wants to live a life of like, everyone else is doing the same shit I'm doing. Like, oh, a world full of artists, there would be no art. You know?
Yep.
Like, there'd be no art. It'd just be people drawing shit on paper. Like, no one would give a fuck. No one would give a fuck. Like, we can all walk, right? So no one is like, after you're fucking 13 months old or whatever, like, you're walking, good for you, good job. But like, the first time you ever walk and get it for yourself, everyone's like, this is fucking so amazing.
True.
But no one gives a shit about it after. It's like, you're walking. Like, that's a fucking miracle in and of itself. Like, yeah.
No, that's very true though. And you got it. The diversity is diversity and competition. You have to have diversity and you have to have competition. That's really what drives a successful society. And, definitely.
Would we have interesting individuals who didn't push against the norm? No. People who are the most famous generally are fucking people who push the norm. Marilyn Monroe. Name one, man. There's a bunch of people who did shit that were, it was like we weren't supposed to do it that way, but we did it that way, and that's how it is, you know? Like
Martin Luther King, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't supposed to do that.
Aliens.
Anyway, Rosa Parks, all kinds of people.
Yeah, man.
Influential people.
Yeah, and the lady, it seemed like nothing, right? The lady's like, no, fuck you. I'm not getting up out of my seat. I'm staying right fucking here. She didn't know that she was like gonna be the most remembered black woman that ever existed, right? Like she was just like, I'm fucking tired, and fuck you. You're a man. Stand the fuck up. Had nothing to do with color. Had no. It's just like, bruh, you're a bitch. Stop fucking me. Like I'm a lady. You should be letting me sit down anyways. You go to the back of the fucking bus. Like fuck all that shit. She was just over it, dude. She was just in that moment, that was what some people would consider now like the most artistic moment of anyone's life, where they're like they did a thing where they're like, no, I'm fucking had it. I'm not doing this. And this whole thing had a chain reaction and was big enough to make some type of fucking change. So sometimes people who are like, I gotta be the most badass motherfucker in the planet, like, okay, if that's what you want to do, but that generally doesn't mean that you might have a huge pivotal role in some crazy fucking change that can happen. You know,
Just gotta be genuine. Gotta be yourself.
Mhm. Which is so funny that it's so hard to do that, right?
Man, peer pressure, societal fucking expectations. It is kind of, it can be difficult to be yourself in today's world. Genuinely be yourself. There is the filter bubble self that we all like post on Instagram and YouTube and whatnot, but genuine self can be hard to get to sometimes. And that's why I like to think that we present an honest view of people here, and like the people that I bring on are my friends. We always have honest conversations. I mean, shit. There's streams that I've had to delete because I get all fucking swifty on here and can't even. So I like to think
It
that
happens.
we've done a good job of being honest and presenting people in an honest light, in a true light. UFO Factor Fiction, what's going on, fam? He says, been lurking. Much love to you. I'm gonna go grab a soda, fam, and I will be right back.
Yeah, UFOs. We gotta get back to the UFOs, man.
Keep asking about aliens.
When the government starts to let you in on like, oh yeah, there might be UFOs, then bitches know exactly what they're looking at. Like, they would never tell you or us that they think they're like, it's just unidentified flying objects. Like, no, bitch, it's some government ass fucking shit you're working on that you don't want to tell nobody about because why would you?
Priming people that now before you wouldn't watch paranormal stuff on TV, and now they're priming stuff like aliens are
Yeah,
everywhere.
everything's an alien. They got a lot of shows that are about aliens. They got a lot of shit about aliens. Again,
They're
you
making it look normal, so it's not going to be like widespread panic. I guess if we found an alien.
I always used to say like Earth is just a big ass spaceship, and we're all too stupid to fucking figure it out, and we're just like we can't get along on this fucking rock that shouldn't exist. Like we have water, we have all these beautiful animals. Like this is fucking like a pretty big paradise. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like we got like a bunch of cool. Yeah, shit can kill you here. Like we got these crazy fucking sharks. We got apes that can rip you limb from limb. We have bears and shit, but you'll figure it out. Like we live in a fucking crazy ass paradise and pretend like it's not. It's amazing to me that small fact right there that we're just the existence itself is so crazy and complex that it's like, how are you bored? Like
Animals, brother. I've always loved animals, and it's just always like, yeah, the diversity that we have here in the world that, again, that we know about because we haven't explored all the jungles, we haven't explored all the oceans, but just all of the stuff that we got that we know about. Like it's amazing.
yeah, man, yeah. And we were just talking about UFOs before you left, like how the government, like I was saying how the government is like they're telling us about UFOs, but they're not. Anything that they show you, they're like, yeah, we can show them that. Like, we're so far beyond this right now. Like, yeah, just show them the Tic Tac video. Who gives a fuck? Like, let those pilots talk their shit. No one's gonna really believe them. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, if you haven't seen, Joe Rogan has had one of those pilots who has encountered one of those little flying Tic Tac. And that dude is like, I'm not gonna call it a spaceship, but I don't know what the fuck it was. We were definitely picking it up on fucking radar,
Yeah,
and it like bent time and space, and was like, we didn't know what it was, so we ran away from it, and it ended up showing up to the coordinates we ran away from it. So like, they're like, hey, you know where to go, and they all rendezvoused at the same place, and that fucking little tic tac was right there. Like, what's up? I knew you guys would end up here, so I just bent time and space and showed up. Like, yeah, dude. Like, is it so? Like, I don't know. For me, I'm like, that's all some shit they just don't want us to know about. You know?
There's lots of crazy phenomena. I believe there was a UFO spotted over the Vatican like a day after one of the popes passed away, and somebody caught that on film. There's been all kinds of crazy stuff that's UFO related, and I'm I think that there is reverse engineered technology. Absolutely, I absolutely think that we have some man-made stuff, but I also think that as much as there is man-made stuff, there's still stuff that's out of our control that's still happening and going on.
Yeah, 100% has to. Just like just vegetation, man. Just like plants in general, trees, how all that shit is connected, intertwined, how they know that they're there themselves, how they work through mycelium in their roots to communicate to one another. Yeah, man, it's so hard not to think the most all-knowing, all omniscient person as like this is how this works. Like it's it's fucking mind-boggling to think someone designed all of it, you know? Believe one way or another. Believe that if it's a god that designed it, or believe we live in the fucking Matrix and someone designed it. What do you want? One or the other, motherfucker.
Yeah.
One or the other. Either we're living literally, or like we spent 75 cents in the future and decided to jack ourselves into some fucking freaky video game that allows us to live a lifetime. And when we die, we wake up and we're like, it's fucking 3052, Mario. You played this game for 5 minutes. You suck at life. Like you don't even like. We don't even know. Like either believe that or believe that someone is like so smart and so all-knowing that they were able to create such a thing.
It's quite
What's more inspiring? Like,
quite an existence and quite an experience either way. But yeah, that would be a trip to live out another, like, what?
you've seen that Rick and Morty, right?
Yeah, where they're at, like, the Dave and Buster's, and he fucking...
That's it. He's like, he lives an entire life, and then goes like, oh, right on! You did so good. He's like, what the fuck? I just lived an entire lifetime. And they're like, yeah, you were only gone for 15 minutes. You're good. Like, oh.
You didn't score that great, Morty. You ended up in the shoe store, Morty.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, that would be quite an experience. Like, fuck. Live out another, what? So I'm 34 now, like another 50 years, and then wake up and be like, ah, shit, did I end up in the Central Valley again? Damn it.
Yeah, and anyone who has dementia is just someone who fell asleep playing the game. Like, they die, they wake up, they're like, what happened? They're like, dude, you fell asleep when you were playing the game. Like, you just got drunk before you started playing, and you just passed out, and you probably, I don't know what was going on in that game, but... Oh my god.
Great.
Oh, ask him about the conspiracy theories with the Simpsons and stuff.
Oh yeah, what about like the Simpsons always like being able to fucking predict shit, you know? Like they predicted exactly how fucking Trump was gonna be filmed going down. For me, I kind of feel like there was a cameraman who was like, dude, this fits the Simpsons like episode like pretty pure. We gotta line this fucking shot up to get all the crazies around this shit. I don't know, like it's too perfect. It's too perfect that the person who even has a sign drops the sign the same time that the Simpsons has a person drop a sign in the animated version of it.
So, There's actually an occult terminology that you can look up called revelation of the method, and it's this kind of exercise where you almost numb somebody to something that you're doing by just putting it out in the open. And it's weird how the Simpsons will do something that we will later see, and instead of being like, man, there's really something going on here, there's something really wrong with this picture, instead you instantly say, oh man, the Simpsons did that, or man, that's another thing that the Simpsons predicted. And it's almost like this way of numbing you to into accepting that it's going on, because it's just this reference that you can be like, oh yeah, that was, it's weird how the Simpsons always does that. And you kind
Mm.
of like, you know, but you don't know. And it's an actual thing. It's called revelation of the method, and it's an actual occult exercise where it's like, it's almost kind of like, okay, ball's in your court. We shown you that this is going to happen. Now, what are you going to do about it? And then when it happens, it's just like, okay, well, it was there, so guess you guys are part of it. That is one conspiracy theory around stuff like that. I'm not saying that I agree or I disagree. I'm just saying it is kind of interesting that a lot of people sort of have that knee-jerk reaction when things that they see predicted in shows and things like that, instead of being like, man, this is really a problem, like maybe I should start. Instead, the reaction is more like, oh man, I saw that on Simpsons, or I saw that on Family Guy. That's kind of strange. Like, that's really, it's almost a way to help people dismiss things.
Mm.
Ah,
I always feel like I'm the opposite. Like it's trying to confirm something to me.
And that's, again, brother, it's one of the, it's a different kind of mindset. You know, there are people that are going to ask questions, and then there are people that are just going to they want to, it's like, reminds me of Wally, you know, how at the end everyone ended up just being fat in a chair with the fucking screen in front of them. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that would be just fine with, you know, oh, you can plug me into the
Yeah.
Matrix. Let's go.
Yeah. Like, oh, this world's not worth living in. Let's just live in these battery cells and live our life in dream state.
Let's see. Jesse says they got he would be the president, not the walk. That was animated after. And I mean, it's an example, Jesse, but there's plenty of things that you could say like happened before they actually happened, and they were in some sort of animated form, or they were alluded to in a show or something like that. And it's kind of crazy how many things like that there are.
Yeah.
huh.
So
I always like to. What else is another? The JFK assassination.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! Talk about a conspiracy theory
Were
and
there
a
two
half.
people, or were there just one? Like I was telling you
No, some
earlier.
people think the driver of the car turned around and shot him as well, but not with the gun, but with like an air pistol. Like it was a something that would use compressed air, so you wouldn't. Because back in those days, if you shot a gun, there would be a bunch of smoke. There wasn't a smokeless cartridge back then, so there was no way he could shoot a gun and it not be noticed. So they used an air compressed gun where it's like it just shot a bolt out with compressed air at the president's head. And it's like some people, again, that footage has been like, who knows where the real footage is, right? Like of that day, of what actually happened. But like even the movie, I forget what the name of the movie is that goes over that, the whole assassination and how it could have been not just one dude, you know, who was like probably not the greatest shot. Who's like, yeah, I pulled the shot, and then the ricocheting bullet that goes fucking everywhere. That they're like, oh yeah, the bullet was found on the gurney next to his body in perfect fucking condition, with no like the bullet never hit anything. It was just looks like a normal bullet. Like the fact of the matter is, to me, still is that the people back in those days trusted the media and the news so much that they didn't even question it. That they were just like, oh yeah, that's how a bullet looks like when it travels through a car, through this, through that, and then it stays solid like a normal bullet. Like any now that information's so widely known, you're just like, there's no fucking way. But because it's so ingrained and fucking burnt into us that there's no questioning what could have happened that day. That's the thing that's the most fucking crazy to me, that we're taught so well. Like a dog that's like, you hear 2 clicks and you sit. You know? Like, I'm like, damn, man, what a mind fuck, dude. Like, all of majority of like my high school of learning about history and how shit went down. That to me was the biggest trip where I'm like, man, it's just a fucking game. Like, people are just out here. Just it's a fucking game, man. If you know why World War One started, why World War Two started, you would be like, how the fuck? It's just like we were all on cocaine. We were all on drugs. Like we're all of us were on drugs that were being prescribed to us by doctors. Like, we didn't know what PTSD was. We were just like, yeah, shell shocked. Like
Yep.
it's good. You'll be fine. Like PTSD wasn't even a thing. Like, oh, you mean if a human being sees horrific things happening around them, they become truly fucked up forever and have a hard time living with themselves? Get out. Like, no way. That's again another reason why I don't even know how the human beings have existed for so long. Just thinking about how humans used to live in the fucking in medieval times, like how the fuck did we make it out of there? How the fuck did we make the gun? The gun was invented. That's how we made it out of that fucking time. Like that. I remember there was a quote. I don't know who it was, but they were like the big when people found out how to shoot a projectile at someone with a gun pod. I think it was like a stick too, where they just kind of like a turned a knob and it would shoot a musket ball out, and that's when the time of the knights ended, where it's like there's no more hand-to-hand combat. You didn't have to be a knight and know like, hey, I need to do all this training and learn how to ride a horse and how to wield a sword. Now the day that came where someone can just shoot you from afar was the day chivalry ended, because it wasn't a fair fight anymore. It was just more like guerrilla warfare from here on out. It's just whoever gets this bang off first is who wins, you know?
True. Crazy shit. Changing the game. And that is gnarly because at that point, really, you'd have to be proficient in keeping your weapon good. But yeah, you wouldn't have to need to know how to put on a suit of armor or how to ride a horse with the weapon or fucking like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just is not needed anymore.
No. And that's how martial arts is even crazier to me too, where they're like, we don't have like some martial arts develop from weaponry, but if the people who invented these weapons were like, oh well, we couldn't carry around a weapon, so we decided we needed to defend ourselves with what we had on us, which was a bow staff, which is something we would use to paddle a boat with, or we'd carry small knives or sais or nunchucks, or like people decided to learn how to use them shits. But just people who are like Greco-Roman wrestling, man, there's a lot of savagery to that, and this is shit that was invented thousands of years ago, where they're like, yeah, you want to take your knee and fucking cram it in the back of someone's skull because that's the softest place to hurt someone in. And that was like a Greco-Roman thing. Like if you ended up fighting against these people way back in the day and you met them on the battlefield, these guys would not only be dangerous with the sword and the shield, but if you got in close contact and you both lost that shit, there's a good chance that guy's literally gonna choke you to death. Like, gonna choke you till you don't breathe anymore, and or smash his knee through the back of your skull.
Damn. It's gonna be a gnarly fight. And that is true, brother. Like, combat has come a long way.
Like now it's just like people are just like, well, we're just gonna be fighting with drones. Like drones are just gonna be going out there and fucking killing motherfuckers. Like Israel literally made a fucking commercial of this shit where they're like, we can go to the exact terrorist home and go in there with the drone and see if the right person's there and just kill the person or the room.
I wouldn't be surprised, brother, if like
That's like a real fucking thing that's out right now. That scares me so much.
I would say like who would it be? Like maybe like the NSA or the CIA, I wouldn't be surprised if they monitor like Call of Duty servers and they recruit kids that are really good at certain kinds of missions, because that shit is a lot like what you would actually deal with today as far as the aiming system and the kind of stuff that you do. So honestly, like that's kind of where warfare is going. So yeah, it's
Drone strikes, dude. Drone operators, man. They're just like they're in Las Vegas and they're flying a drone in Afghanistan.
mhm,
Makes you fucking scratch your head. Like,
scary stuff, man.
is that another Black Mirror?
Which one?
Remember we saw that? We saw like a
Yeah.
show that there was a dude who was a drone operator and he was in a I don't know if he was in a Middle Eastern country. And he's flying his drone around and they get him to there's a target they want him to kill and he executes it like a dude like leaves his home, drives on his bike, and then ends up getting fucking missiled to death. And
Where's that check? Wait.
at the end, basically the guy had a hard time with it because they told him like we killed the wrong person. Actually, he was just a normal dude. He didn't have anything to do with this. So now that dude who killed him, like they give him $1 bill every time they kill someone. So this guy has, like you see him kill that guy, and the girl next to him like she's like, here's your $1 bill.
It's Jack Ryan.
Like oh yeah, it was Jack Ryan. It was off of the series Jack Ryan. But this guy feels so bad. Like he goes to his apartment, and he has like I don't know, like 100 fucking single dollar bills pinned to his wall, and these are all of his kills. Right? So then he takes all this blood money and he goes to the casino to try and get rid of it. And every time he puts like he's like all this on that. Like he goes there and gets like $92 worth of chips and he puts it down on fucking on the what do you call that again, babe? The one with the roulette table.
Yeah.
So he's like all on black, all of it. And boom, black goes up. So he doubles, and he's like, "Fuck, I can't even get rid of this fucking money on a bad bet." Then he goes, "Okay, double it up again and put it on red," and then it wins again. And then he puts it on black, then it wins again. And he's like, "Man, fuck this shit." He puts it on a random ass number, like he's up to like $4,000, and he's like, he puts it on a random ass number, like a 17 black. And they spin it again, and it fucking hits again. And he's like, "You've got to be kidding!" And you get the symbolism of where it's like, you can't just. You think that if you bet this money and lose it all, that all those deaths that you're cause of, like, get written off. Like, no, like this was life literally telling him like, "Oh, you thought you were gonna." He ends up leaving the fucking casino with like 40K or some fucking crazy shit like that, where he's like, "I can't fucking believe my luck." And he ends up taking that money and going into the country that he killed this man, because he realized that with the drone he was flying around, he realized he had a son and like obviously a father or an uncle he was living with. And so he's like, what, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna give this money to this family. And like that was his like penance for the bullshit that had happened to them, because he like they fucked up, intelligence fucked up, and they killed an innocent human being. Like it's a life itself is a fucking crazy thing, man. But like for people who have to do crazy shit like just maneuvering drones in the sky to go kill people, like that's got to be a fucking hell of a job, dude.
It's got to be some, and I would imagine, brother, that it depends on your state of mind, because there's definitely people that would be like, "Oh, I failed that mission. All right, well, that was just bad intel. Hopefully they give me the right fit next time," and they could write it off.
Right.
So used to it, that's a great interpretation, and I would love to think that if that really happened in real life, a person would be that affected. But then you also have the possibility that person they're so into that lifestyle that it's just like, shit, that's the one civilian that I got on my fucking record now. Thanks, fucking intel guys.
Yeah, I didn't think of it in that way where someone else would have not have been or would have not cared as much to be like, fuck, man, like maybe someone else would have just tried to bury it because they're like, hey, I was just doing my job. I didn't know the intel was bad. Like, try and write it off that way and make themselves feel okay about. And I think they're searching for those people. I think they're searching for people who are like, they'd rather just say, well, it's not really 100% all my fault. I was just doing what I was told, and the death isn't really my fault. You know, like I killed this person, yeah, but
Just
it
follow.
wasn't my. Yeah, I was just following an order. You know, and that's what's so scary about the times right now, man, where people are like right now in Southern Cal, like the mask thing has kind of relaxed. And today was the first time I went out and was like, I'm not wearing the fucking mask, you know. And I went to the grocery store and I wasn't wearing a mask, but like 90% of the people there were still wearing their mask. Where it's like it's no longer necessary, you know. But people are so it's so ingrained on them that like most of them like I guess, dude, like most people are overweight and out of shape, so it's like, yeah, most of them probably should just keep wearing it because that shit is really bad for people who are fucking, you know, not the best in health. But like other people have individual reasoning to like wear the mask. I fucking get that. Like wear it if you want. But if you're just wearing it to still feel a part of the club, like you ought to fucking check why you're doing that shit to begin with. Because like I went to the store and it was just like, this is nice that you guys can all wear your mask and you can't say shit to me. Like if you want to wear it, wear it. If you don't, like who fucking cares? And it was like a weird thing where I'm like looking around and I'm seeing the other people's small, the other 10% of people who are there, people who are working there even who are like, oh, you're not wearing a mask, right? That's what's up. That's what's up. Like there's a club even there where I'm just like, I just don't want to wear this fucking thing anymore, man. Like, I'm not on your side, and I'm not on your fucking side. Do whatever the fuck you want. Finger your buttholes. Lick buttholes. Do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. But, like, don't force anything on anybody.
Oh, let me shop.
Yeah, like, just leave me alone. Let me fucking shop. But it's crazy to see how people have it so ingrained in their head that they're, like, still holding on to this fake thing where I'm like, if you're wearing an N95, I respect you, but if you're just out there with fucking silly ass mask on, like that, it's not functioning, man. Science is out. Like the cloth mask does shit all. Like you can still smell my fart. Like if I fart right now, you're wearing your fucking cloth mask, you're gonna smell my farts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you've ever worn an N95, you'll know that shit is actually pretty effective and ensuring you don't smell or inhale shit that you're not supposed to be inhaling. Being someone who used to work in labs, when you would put on your face mask, you would forget that you're working with a bunch of really fire amounts of packs and rosin, and then you take your mask off and you're like, fuck, this shit has so much more of a nose than I thought it was. And you wouldn't know because that N95 is over your fucking face, like literally filtering the air that you're breathing in. It's pretty fucking crazy that we invent shit like that, let alone.
They do their jobs. When you
Yeah.
one.
You're going to need one if I fart in a room for sure.
Oh yeah, you will. Well,
Like you're going to need an N95. If you want to survive my farts, you're going to need an N95.
Yeah, well, I don't need a face mask for that one.
I could say the same for Deacon, because if you're gonna be around Deacon, be ready for some gnarly farts, man.
Dog farts are the worst.
Dude, he gets out of his own way. When he farts, he'll be like, "Oh, I better get the fuck out of here for a second," and that's how I do.
Dude, my little dog Bosley, the real furry one, the real hairy guy, I remember the day he fucking got scared of his own fart. I was living with.
First time he farted, baby.
Yeah, the first time he ever farted scared the shit out of him. Deacon, it scared the absolute shit out of him because he's out. This is when I was feeding him kibble still, but he would go outside. He went outside. He's squatting down to take his little poo, and like before his poo comes out, you hear a little squeak. He fucking rocket ships like. Just fucking jumps at like didn't know what came out of him. He was so confused, the poor little dude. And now it's like certain mornings, like I feed my dogs every morning. I feed them an egg each, just one egg, and I I like I leave the yolk running for him and shit. And there's a few times where we'll go outside, like it's like clockwork. 30 minutes after he's eaten, fucking Bosley has to go outside to relieve himself. So he's like, I need to go outside. He goes outside, and every once in a while, man, he'll lift his leg to piss. Not shit, but when he goes to piss, he fucking lets out the cutest little beep. Like, it's the funniest. When I get to hear it, dude, I fucking just, I die. I'm like, I just look up to the sky. I'm like, thank you, God. That's shit. That's exactly what I fucking needed this morning. His little boss is just like, leg in the air, taking a piss, just, wee. It's fucking the best shit ever, man.
Dogs. Yeah, they recharge your batteries.
Oh yeah. But his farts don't smell like Deacon's. I mean, he's always farted outside. They fart inside sometimes too, but it can smell fucking.
Yeah.
Like all I did was feed him cabbage.
I'll know if he's close to me in some, because that's the thing is there's a lot of silent but deadly, because he'll lay right next to me and I'll be, looking up something or writing something, and all of a sudden it'll just waft up and it'll be like, bam. Oh shit.
It's so warm too.
Man, them dog farts. If you're a pet owner, you probably understand. It gets gnarly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's strange how it smells like the kibble exactly.
Oof. Digested kibble.
You're like, why do you smell like pedigree and shit?
So, brother, we're coming up on 2.5 hours. Would you like to take a dab with me, and then we'll call it a night for tonight?
Oh man, you are more than welcome to take a dab, but if I take one right now, I'm gonna lose my mind. I took one like an hour or so before because fuck, I took the one last night when I took the dab. I was like, I got so fucking high, dude. There's no like, there's like phases in my high where like I take it and then for like the hour after that, I gotta just be chilling because if not, I'm just gonna be so goddamn useless.
Oh, brother, you were doing good. It was awesome to have that on camera too, because yeah, you were just super chilling. Like that was an awesome stream still.
So lit, man. Just like I was in a good place for sure, but I was just like, man, if someone wants a serious answer out of me right now, there's no way that's happening.
It was a good stream, brother. We need streams like that, good swifty streams. All right, well, I'm gonna take one more dab then, and I think we'll probably call it a night because I need to make myself some dinner.
You still haven't eaten dinner yet?
I have not, brother. I got me a steak defrosting in the fridge though, so I'm gonna go ahead and warm that up and have me a steak for dinner. Late night steak.
That's the best late night snack to have, man. What the fuck did we eat today? I don't even remember what we ate.
Burgers.
Oh yeah. It was a burger day today. We were trying to stay away from fucking. Like in the morning, I just made some patties and some eggs, and then we were like, man, I really feel like some fucking fast food right now. But we were trying to get Chinese food, but the area that we live in, there's no real good like trash Chinese food places. So we ended up just going to BK and fucking Burger King and it up.
Good cheese.
I'm like, way to stay away from me.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a big bacon cheeseburger fan, so normally what I get from them, brother, is their Bacon King.
That's what I normally get, man. But like I was like, I'm feeling like a Whopper. I'm feeling like the fucking
classic.
Yeah, the classic right now. But I did miss my Bacon King, man. That shit is so good. That shit is so good. Then the other burger place I really like to hit up if I can is Wendy's because they have their burgers are always really nice, dude.
And I'm an adult. I still like getting their chicken nuggets. They have bomb chicken nuggets.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, dude. The thing that most people underrated for is their chili. Like if you don't, dude, the chili at Wendy's is
Chili.
good. It's good.
Bomb
It's
chili.
good.
Alrighty, y'all. Much love. Coming up on 2.5 hours into the stream. Let's go ahead and take a dab. Nice fat dab.
See, if I took a dab that big right now, I would be so fucking lost. I wouldn't go to sleep for another hour and a half. I'd just be contemplating life.
Well, I'm gonna need to be awake for a little bit, brother. I gotta cook this steak. But then
Cooking the steak.
I think I'm gonna sit down with my steak and probably watch some Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna finish out this Yellowstone. You need to watch the Yellowstone shit, man.
Is that
It's
on
pretty
Netflix?
interesting. It's on Peacock.
Peacock. All right, I have to check it out.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty fun little series to get into. But yeah, I can see how the old times used to function that way. Just a big ass ranch. If you're a fuck up, you end up being a ranch hand, just trying to make shit right. And dudes just owning like thousands of miles of acres. They're like, yeah, I'm a cattle rancher. But we do shady shit to keep this land.
Oh, it's
Sounds interesting, brother.
Online.
It's
down.
fucking cool, dude. It's not bad, but I think I'm gonna see if there's any Black Mirrors that we haven't seen. I think we've seen most of them, but you know, it's always good rewatch.
Great series to revisit, brother. And yeah, sounds like you guys have a couple of movies to watch too. The Signs and The Village.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Signs and the Village. It would be so glorious if aliens were allergic to water. You're just like, yeah, just squirt them with the fucking super soaker, bro. You'll be good.
And it's an interesting concept, right? That these things are foreign to our planet, so it could be something that we never thought about. Like the same concept they use in War of the Worlds. This, totally dominant alien species comes and invades Earth, and for maybe like 24 to 48 hours, they are completely overwhelming the human race. But then they realize that they have nothing to counteract germs because they've never been on a planet with germs before. They end up deteriorating and dying, and the fucking invasion is over. So there's a couple of different stories about being invaded, but the invaders are thwarted by something that we would really never kind of think of, that we definitely wouldn't think of as a weapon.
Yeah, right. We're like bullets, only bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're like, all you gotta do is sneeze, bro. You're good.
That's it. But yeah, that is a trip, and like Signs was a really good movie, and it was neat that as far as the supernatural thing, there was very much a psychological thing where it's like, well, shit, are they crazy? Like, is there something? Are they just out there in the middle of nowhere and they're kind of going stir crazy? Because when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're gonna hear things, and you might mistake an animal coming through your property for certain stuff, or you might live out there so long that you think you know what something sounds like. So, fucking three-legged deer going through your field instead of a four-legged one, you're like, there's some fucking creature out there, and you have no idea. So it's those kind of concepts, I like it. But those movies, they're definitely interesting. And M. Night, he does some crazy shit. Like I remember when I watched I think it was Unbreakable for the first time. I was like, dude, this movie is really cool, but also kind
Yeah.
of a trip. Like he makes some really interesting movies.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people didn't like that movie, and I think it's because they had like a misconception of what it was gonna be. You know, of like it's gonna be this action-packed thriller where it's like, no, no, no. It's more of like a, oh,
Is that with Bruce Willis and Samuel
oh,
Jackson?
and then the sequel to that I haven't even seen yet, man.
I have not either, brother. I haven't gotten into those, but I'm sure that they plan on making it like a more of a series or making at least one more movie. But I thought that was a really good one. Was that Unbreakable?
Yeah. I'll see if they have it on there and see if they have the sequel to it.
Alrighty, y'all. We are going to check out for the evening. Thank you so much for joining me and Brother Mario and Mrs. Clean Pump for Conspiracy Theory Night Part 2. We wrapped up the conversation. We visited a lot of different stuff. So if you guys are just getting here, go start this from the beginning. Even watch Part 1. But yeah, hope you guys have a great night and a great rest of your weekend. We will be back next Friday for just a regular sesh. We're going to hang out, take a couple dabs, take a couple shots, and just kind of catch up and have a place to hang out for a little bit. So be there if you like. We normally get started around 8:30 to 9 o'clock Cali time, and we'll see you there.